Yeah.
Mm. Well, hello, and welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Lockhart, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We're not really going to be before you long, but we are going to talk about a couple of the topics. And as usual, we're going to come from a different angle dealing with one specific topic, and that is the Caramello Anthony situation. Now, for those of you who have followed the podcast for some time, you will remember there was an opportunity for me to create a video where we dealt with the same old tactics, and that's what we called it, the same old tactics. Hey, Howell, how are you? We dealt with the same old tactics, right? We dealt with that. We talked about how almost every year when there's, an empty seat someplace, or it's a year for midterm elections, or maybe even a big election time period to come up, how there was always going to be some type of divisive line that was used to cause friction and to create some type of unbalance. Or, it's like you can never be peaceful here in this place. There's always the situation where you have no real peace. None. They want you to stay as agitated and as upset and all of the above. They want you to do that without a problem. They want you to stay tied up. And as long as that energy is being emanated in mass, then it appears that that's what makes the machine go. Am I making any sense? I think we are. So that's what I think about this poor situation. I think that there are conflicting stories about the Caramello Anthony situation, not to include the first name of this poor child. But I'm hearing different stories. I'm reading different stories. I'm hearing live witness accounts of people who were literally there at the time of the incident. And a lot of those folks are saying, hey, wait, that's not what happened at all. What happened was we were all under the same tent. This event was not taking place at a school, but rather at a venue where, where everybody is allowed to come and go. That these other two kids weren't even involved in the events of the day, and that they had been picking on the cat, right? So we hear that Caramello was being picked on, that apparently they had some type of interaction with one another in the past. And so I'm having here's the thing. It's not just the fact that this terrible incident happened, but it's always the contrast and comparison of race, right? It's always race. The race situation always has to be involved. It can't be, a terrible issue where it was two white cats, or the white police and the white person, or the white student and the white student. It has to always be something to divide. And that's the reason why I say that you really have to watch the news that you're listening to. So we're going to have over the next, several months, several weeks, several months, several years of all of this continuation of keeping you stressed out. Let me dial it back a little bit and let me tell you what I mean by this. If the powers that be can keep you distracted enough on topics and situations like this that some may call real, some might call a psyop, some may say that it's just a convenient way to divide. No matter what the reasoning for it is, what it most assuredly will do is cause you to be distracted enough for other things to get passed through. And it doesn't matter who's in office. For those of you who followed the channel for any length of time, you know that I do not vote anymore and I don't have a dog in that hunt. And so therefore I will speak freely about either side, right? So my feelings are, as long as you're buying into what is being sold to you via the media and anybody else, any talking people with, talking points and all of that stuff, that's a problem. That's a problem. I want to say welcome to none other than Jay Prince. Thank you for being here
What's
today.
going on? What's going on, Ms. Lockhart?
Well, we are we're here, and
Uh,
you know we're looking, obviously looking at just different topics, but specifically the one that's the elephant in the room right now.
hmm
That is the Caramello Anthony situation. I
hmm
had the opportunity to peer into a gentleman's. He's doing very good work, by the way. I've reached out to him to see if we wouldn't be able to use some of his work, and because I've not heard back from him, I'm going to. I'm not going to use his work. But what I will say is, his work is on the ground. He's literally on the ground getting information, on the ground talking to real live people who were there on the
hmm
ground. And so I like that kind of information because it never goes to the right and it never goes to the left. It's just, this is what I saw and I was there. Now, I'm going to tell you this much, and I'm going to show you a news clip, and I want you to let me know what you think. When I
Okay.
saw the news clip, I felt as if it were a bit strained, like it wasn't natural to have had your child be stripped away from you in the manner that this poor lady's baby was stripped from her. I did not see what I was looking for. Okay. I didn't see what I was looking for. So I'm going to go to Fox because Fox had this cat on there with him, and let me look for it. It says, what was the young man's name? The baby's name that got that they unalived. Let me just see.
Austin.
Austin. Okay, so let's look at that. Because either way it goes, I don't care what side of the fence you sit on. It's tragic. It's tragic.
But you know what, Ms. Lockhart, though? I just got a different perspective today.
Mm-hmm.
The justice system, how they playing the black boy, they ain't wrong. And here's why I say they're not wrong for them defending the white boy. Because it's been a problem with black people thinking that they sit on the same seat and racism is over with. This is just another example to remind you niggas that it's still smoke. They is not friends with you. And I think black people need this reawakening. So maybe this is get mad. Maybe black people get mad enough and try to establish something for themselves instead of always depending and trying to align themselves with association that don't really mess with you.
Now you see, I'm gonna tell you something. And I'm glad that we all do have the right to have an opinion because it's really important, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't see this as that kind of situation, just being fair and transparent. This is not the kind of situation that I see. When I look at this circumstance, I don't look at it like that. I don't look at it as, oh, it's time for you to realize X, Y, or Z. What I look at it is a situation where, for example, if this situation, I'm going to use this, I'm gonna come from the angle of, say this is just a group of actors,
Mm-hmm.
and this movie or this play or this short or this film is being used to trigger both sides. Because I'm going to tell you what I've seen over the past few years. Over the past few years, I saw the system sort of bend over to one direction, and that bending over to one direction caused the other individuals on the other side to be upset. Now, what I see is, now that we have this particular president in, it appears that that other side feels now they're vindicated. So now we can do whatever we want and we don't have to worry about what's being said. This is what they're showing us, right? I don't see this as a reality. I see this as a play, bread and circus, a way to get everybody upset, because at the end of the day, none of us know if this situation is actually factually real. because of the Smith-Mund Act doing what it has done and causing the just the diabolical destruction of this nation. I believe that everything we see is not necessarily real. So I don't see it as a time for Black folks to wake up and see it that way. I hear where you're coming from, and I agree with your right to have that opinion. But the reason why I don't think that this is that is because of the fact that this is such a terrible, heinous thing that's going to go in a totally different direction. It's not going to make Black people ever see anything. It's not going to do that. We'll listen, what was done to this nation and to the original people of this land was done to cause an inherent divide that would last forever and centuries and for generation after generation after generation. I don't see this as bringing us close. Why? Because I can go back and I can count all of the situations that have happened where you would have thought that would have gotten us together. If I look at the Rodney King situation, I would have hoped that would have got us together. It didn't get us together. I'll look back and see the young boy Trayvon Martin situation. I would have hoped that would have got us together. It didn't get us together.
Right.
When I look at the poor man that they say, was out there and the police officer, he had his foot on his neck, knee on his neck. I would have hoped that would have got us together, but it
Well,
didn't get us together. And you know why it didn't get us together? Because we will always be divided if we do not know what our goal is. Every
mhm.
community that I think of has a goal. When I think of the like
And
I shared
unity.
a story about the Hispanics when I was growing up, the Hispanics when I was growing up, they mind their business, but they were on a goal. Every morning we would walk through and pick up all the kids walking from Scottsdale, where I grew up, all the way. We used to call that little area Mexican Village. We would walk through Mexican Village, and then we would all pick up each kid as we were going, and we were all friends. We would pick up Felipe, we would pick up Maria up the way from there. It was like a little ball of kids. It would start with 2 kids, and then we'd walk through our area. We'd pick up 4 more kids, and by the time we got to school, be a big pile of kids walking to school together. But these were our friends, right? But their fathers was already out of the house when we were hitting up that neighborhood around 7:15 in the morning. Their daddies was gone and the mothers was sweeping out their house, had their rugs going across the banister and a baby on the hip and doing her work. And the kids we would pick up would go on. We went back through there years after we all grew up, had our own families, and those individuals had enough sense to take those houses that they bought for little or nothing back in the 70s and turn that whole area into a beautiful homes, tracts of homes. Why? Because they work together, and it is the collective. When you put your mind together to say, this is the goal and this is what we're going to do, and then you go and you walk that thing out, that's how you change it. But see, we don't have a goal. And not only that, we don't have anybody that's really standing up saying, all right, bump all the stuff that we see. Let's get focused. Here is the agenda. The same way they complain about Agenda 2025 or whatever that thing was, and how you see all these other agendas, 2030, 2050, that the United Nations has. All of those agendas are being moved right now. That's not just the thought process. These folks have put this thing out there and they're working towards that goal. So the question is, what is the goal? And we don't have one. Go
And,
ahead.
that's the issue. Like for an example, I guarantee you they're gonna make the laws stricter where other high schools can't go. They're gonna enforce you can't sit under nobody tent. They're not gonna enforce the bullying of the white boy because they feel like whatever they do is justified. And which if us blacks was running the race, we would probably do the same thing. My thing is, like you say, we never stand up for ourselves. So now that's still gonna be a step. Now we got that knowledge that we are punks. We are divided. We are we now we understand you can't move as an individual. Not one person can change nothing. I don't care how much money a black person got. They can't change nothing by themselves. Every other race in America, they operate almost the same because that's how they move. They got a few agendas where they all relate to, they all support. We all over the place. We is all over the place. So, and this is the reason why we can't never get nothing done. And we're gonna always be in this position. We're gonna always get get the even if we defend ourselves against other groups, we gonna be the ones go to prison. They do something to us, they gonna go home. When I went up there and defended Derrick Brooks, it was a lot of white folks, but it was more black people that was sitting up there telling me, oh, because something about black folks, when a white person die, they get more sad than white people. And so, even though I wasn't defending what Derrick Brooks did, as far as like the lies he took, I was doing the same stuff that they do to us when Trayvon Martin got deleted. All them people came in and supported George Zimmerman. When all them other boys, Kyle Rittenhouse, they came up there and supported, and they got off. That support got them off. That support got them off. Do you think about they cared about that boy dying, how they families was going to be affected by that? No, they didn't. They didn't give no care. They don't care about black people's feelings, but black people is trained to care about their feelings. That's what I mean. Black folks is a people pleaser to the white man. You trying to go all out your way to please these people who will not do the same for you. So I think that this needed to happen, and more instances needs to happen. The black folks need to get waking up. You are not equal. Yeah, we don't got physical racism, but it's different forms of racism that's affecting you down there in the same way as our slave ancestors. You might not get beat physically, but let's be honest. I'd rather get beat physically than have to do 100 years in prison for 2 nickel bags of weed. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather for them just beat the crap out of me for a DUI.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Or put a felony on your back where now you can't even provide, you can't get no apartments in your name, your whole life is screwed. You can't even have your own kids in your custody. They doing the exact same thing in the slavery days, but more acceptable way. They take more black kids out the homes than a little bit. That's what they was doing in slavery. Now the kids getting removed. They be going out there looking. Now you can't even take your kids to the doctor without them crushing your kids. And they making their business to come in to remove the black fathers already removed. But now the kids is getting removed altogether. So I think that black people bought in. The only how you're gonna defeat, the only how you're gonna overcome, I should say, the only how you're gonna overcome what's been happening to you, you're gonna have to deprogram yourself from the lenses that the white man taught you how to look at life and look at the situations. Because this is the reason why this is the reason why you got people, niggas voting for Trump, thinking that thinking that they are part of the program. Or voting, period. These black folks really believe that they are part of the program. Like white folks got their best interests. They never gonna have your best interests. They never had. They don't care about you.
Well, here's how I see it, and I'm not going to, this is why I like our blend, because we do have differing of opinions, but we seem to always end up being right back in the same direction with one another, you and I. And so, as a part of the podcast, I enjoy listening to what you have to say. But I believe that as a whole, human beings need to realize that as a system, we are not a part of this system, but everything we do attaches us to this system.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we decide that we don't want anything to do with the system, we have to systematically begin to disengage. We have to pull our kids out of the public system, the public school system. We have, which is why I applaud you for, the girls having, the situation that they do with education. It allows the parents to actually be there physically while the child is doing what they're supposed to do, and then you're able to meet with the teacher on the side as a sidebar, work with that teacher to see what areas your child needs. So basically, sticking only to the facts, sticking only to the things that the child needs, not the other ancillary issues that are, social issues that really don't mean anything to the kids. So I think it's important for everybody to understand that when you start to deal with the system, you got to understand how the system rolls. You got to understand the game. And if you don't understand the rules of engagement of any game, then you're going to inevitably lose. And that's the reason why I say that when you're watching these types of things, you need to understand if something is a lie, if it is contrived, if it is. These are movies to me. A lot of the stuff that I see on the news, especially for a lot of the folks that are in the chat with us today, and we have a lot of people who have great discernment. You have people in our chats, even though our chats are not big like everybody else's chat, the one thing that I will say is that collectively, these are some of the most in tune folks that I have ever seen and ever engaged with. That's what I will say. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a look at this clip. And we are using this clip specifically for, gee willikers, I don't know how to say it anymore. We are using this based on the copyright laws of 1976, where we have the right to use this clip for commentary purposes. This clip is going to be used, but not for anything else but commentary. We are going to say what we feel about this clip. We don't own this clip. And I'm saying this because it's apparent, okay? It's apparent that the last time we used a clip based on the copyright law, that we had to come in and take pieces of it out, and we're using it the way the law is structured. Now, I've reached out and I've made a couple of let me just say that it's a very strong chance that this probably won't happen again. But if it does, then I'm ready for that as well. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into this clip. I will be stopping it and interjecting, and I would add that you do the same. But again, being that this particular chat is as, in tune, you can see that this right here has some issues. So let's go on ahead and look. This says, hug your babies tight. The grieving mother and brother of this unalived teen speak out. And what I want everybody to look at while we're about to dissect portions of this, I want you to look at the face of the interviewer. I want you to look at the mother. I want you to look at whomever else comes on the screen. I want you to be very cognizant of everything. And then I want you to also juxtapose those feelings with the feelings of, if it were you, would you react this way? Let's go.
Gut-wrenching, incomprehensible scene in Frisco, Texas, just 20 miles north of where I sit here today. A high school track meet yesterday turned deadly. 17-year-old football star Austin Metcalf was stabbed in the heart and left to die in his twin brother's arms after a fight broke out yesterday. The suspect was allegedly told he was sitting in the wrong seat in the stands of the stadium before drawing a knife and attacking Austin.
Okay, I want to stop there. And I have to, okay? This is the way it's made. We are being led. We're not being, the words that are coming out of this gentleman's mouth are not just bullet points. We are literally being led. Dying in his brother's arms, his twin brother's arms. He was seated in an area he wasn't supposed to be, basically. It was a stadium, but who was supposed to be there at this event? What type of, the same thing that happens when you have an accident, and the first thing that happens when you call and you speak to the claims person on the phone, they said, hey, I just had an accident. What do they ask you? What was the climate? Was it rainy? Was it, did you have clear visibility? Was it day? Was it night? They ask you pointed questions so that they can begin to put the pieces together. But if you just call and say, I was driving, a car jumped out and hit me, and I was minding my own business and I don't know what happened or why they did it, you're not going to get the full story. So let's just go ahead. I want to skip through to this cat. I want to skip because I feel like let me just go ahead. It just makes me angry when I hear people do this. So let's go.
Police have yet to reveal what led up to that moment, but we do know the other.
So police have yet to let us know what led up to this moment. So then why are you even talking about it?
They controlling the optics. Their goal is to paint this boy out to be a victim, and they not like I watched something and when they lied and said that he wasn't supposed to be because it wasn't no sign said he can't be there and or nothing like that. So what they is trying to do is find a million ways of the optics to paint this black boy like he really have done this victim. So they not interested in bringing up his criminal history, bringing up him being a bully at school. They not trying to paint that light because if they paint that light, people would treat it like as if he was a black kid attacking a white kid and a white kid stabbed him and he would be able to go home and walk.
Well, you know what I've been doing whenever I see stories like this and then they start to unravel, as soon as I see them, I start to intercede immediately. I go into intercession. And the reason why I go into intercession is because it may just be my little bitty voice down here interceding for truth to come out. But I'm going to tell you something. My little bitty one voice of intercession is greater than 1,000 voices of lies. Because the truth will always come out. You'll begin to see this thing unravel like a top with a piece of yarn wrapped around it. You will begin to see this thing unravel like a cheap suit from Temu worn on a plus size model and it's a size 2. Okay. You will begin to see the things unravel and see that's the power that we really do have. Now, for those who don't believe in intercession, please don't intercede for me. Please don't, quote unquote, pray for me. Just stand back and let those who know how do it, okay? But that's the reason why I started to see this thing begin to unravel. When I first saw it, I said, okay, Most High, everything that's not real in this, unravel it. Bring it to light. Bring everything to light. If this thing be true, let it all come out in the wash. And that's how it has to be. So yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of times people do sit there and try to piece stuff together themselves and make you feel a certain type of way, which is a problem.
Student has been charged with murder. Joining me now is Austin's mother, Megan Metcalf, and his twin brother, Hunter. Megan, Hunter, thank you for being with me today. I can't imagine how difficult of a day. And I have to start with how sorry I am of what you're going through this morning, this afternoon. I think I'd like to just start. I'd love to just start with tell me about Hunter. If you could, Megan, tell me about your son.
I think I can speak for her for a little.
Okay, so hold up. Somebody asks you to talk about your child and you defer to your other child. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? You're on nationwide TV. Are you dumb? What's the problem? If you were prepared to come on the show, then you should be prepared to say, my son was an awesome child. My son did X, Y, or Z. This thing is really, harming us. We're really feeling feeling bad about it. Why would you defer to him? I don't really know, but let's finish watching it because I smell some poo-poo.
A little bit, so she just calms down just a little bit. But as me, I know I'm a little more, spontaneous. I like to do stuff all around and just get out of line sometimes. And, Austin's always was there to check on me and keep me straight so I wouldn't be in trouble and do anything like that.
Hunter and Megan, whenever you feel ready, jump into the conversation. If you never feel ready, that's completely understandable to me and everybody else watching. Hunter, thanks so much for being able to do this today. just a little more about your brother, Austin. From what I understand, I think he has it in his social media bio, 3.96 GPA student, certainly definitely into football. And it looked, when I was looking into him last night, he was very interested in being recruited to play football in college.
Yes, sir. He was very highly recruited, just like coming out of his junior year. He's had a really great year, and everyone on the team, coaches, everyone knew around the area just knew that he was about to do big things in football. But besides his GPA, man, that dude was extremely smart, always in the books. He just came to him real easy, and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Megan, we'll try this again, both of us, and we'll see how far we get. When I read your story last night, obviously this is not about me. I have a 17-year-old son. I live 20 miles south of you. My son's in Frisco every night playing soccer, and we have a lot of friends of friends who knew Austin. So the circles got tight, and this hit really close to home. I'm so sorry for you. Can you explain us at all today how you feel?
He shouldn't be covering this
at all.
This is totally impartial.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happened with the Derek Brooks trial. The judge actually knew the family members, some of the family members. This man just came up here on national news, said that some of his kids and younger teenagers that he knew this boy. So the information that this news dude going to be putting out here is going to veer this boy to be this. He's trying to paint the world to look at Austin like he was a victim. He was a good kid, and Lord knows it's a nigga. It's always that nigga had to come and mess some shit up. I mean, excuse my language, to screw some stuff up, right? I'm trying to refrain from cussing. And I don't believe that as a news person, he should never be the one to relay information about this situation at all. Because he's going to definitely have bias. It's definitely bias. It's definitely bias of the news that he putting out here. He telling a whole bunch of incomplete stories. He giving a whole bunch of incomplete information, lies. But again, like I say, they doing what they supposed to do as a white race to preserve the white race for their benefit. The problem is we don't do that.
But I don't see. I guess let me tell you why I try not to see it that way specifically. Okay. And somebody just hit the nail on the proverbial head and said that, Fox News is biased. Well, yeah, they are. But I really just wanted to utilize this so that we could watch how orchestrated this interview is/was, right? This is troubling to me. It's troubling because if you can't first off, if you're putting out stories like this right here and you have to have a trial in the future, exactly what type of jurors are you going to get? First off, it's only 8.6% Black in that whole area.
Mm-hmm.
It's 8.6% quote unquote African American that are in that area. Just let that sink in. All right.
Right.
And so if you've got that type of percentage, you already know how this thing is going to be. Because we're all making our opinions based on the information that they supplied us with. And then when you find some other little cat saying, hey, yo, wait a minute, I was there. There was even, I think it was on Facebook, where one of the coaches was like, here's the stuff that y'all don't know. Since everybody want to chime in, here's what you don't know. You don't know that this dude was picking on this cat for a minute. You don't know that Caramello Anthony was supposed to be there, and those other two twins were not. He said, what you don't know is when it came down and it started raining, Caramello went underneath a tent like everybody does. And he's not lying. Even when the kids were playing soccer and it would start to rain, everybody would huddle under. It doesn't matter if it was our kids' team or the other kids' team. If it's raining, everybody like, come on, get in. We all jump in. Nobody is saying the fact that Caramello was sitting there, and this is from one of the eyewitnesses, and I'm quoting this eyewitness that was literally there because his daughters were running track at the same event. He said his daughters, he was watching the interaction between the twins and Caramello, He said because his girls run track, and so he was keeping his eye on the circumstance. He said, but originally the little boy was sitting there, Caramello was sitting there on the cell phone. These two twins approached him, snatched his phone, told him he's not supposed to be there, get out of there. And he was like, I'm not going anywhere. So they began to have their words with him. The father of the two daughters that are, running track as well. He said, then the next thing I know, the dude snatched a cell phone. They stomp on it. And then he goes in his backpack and, X, Y, and Z ensued. So if you got people that are in your face and that are touching you, not anybody will hear this part of the story and say, well, still, he still shouldn't have did thus and such. I'm not justifying what happened. What I'm saying is don't believe the hype when people come shoveling you a pile of trash. If somebody come shovel you some trash and stick it on your porch and you decide that you want to keep it there, then that's cool. You do that. But if I got the truth, I'm not rocking with no lies. You're not going to come and just shovel me some garbage and expect me to be happy that I received it because it's you. I'm just telling you that this man was there and this is what he said.
And another thing, I think black folks should defend theirs even in wrong, just like they do it. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right here, right? They playing into the white softness stuff, how we view whites compared to black men versus black boy versus white boy, right? The white boy, they having him smiling, they showing pictures of him smiling with his football, bringing up his grades. And when it comes to the black boy, they showing his mug shot. They not too much showing him being also an athlete as well and doing good in school either, right? So that's one. Secondly, I want to know if this news dude viewed the family. So if you're gonna hear the conversation from these people, you also need to hear you also need to interview Anthony's family.
That's not going to happen. And they've just changed Anthony's attorney. I just want to show you guys this piece here. They've just now changed. Anthony has now gotten he has a new attorney. Let me just say it like that. Let me just read this piece right here. It says that Anthony was previously represented by attorneys Billy Clark and Kim T. Cole. Last week, the law firm released a statement on behalf of the 17-year-old seeking to reduce his $1 million bond. Now, I saw, Joe Brown just got through saying that bond was ridiculous, that the amount of the bond was ridiculous, and he laid out legal reasons why. Right? He doesn't come with conjecture. When Joe speaks, he's looking at the legal reasons why. First thing he wanted to know was, even though in the state of Texas, the state of Texas states that, if you're 17 years old, then you can, then you're tried as an adult. Okay, so fine, he's 17, which is the only reason why we're able to see his face. If he was still 16, we wouldn't even seen his face. We don't think we would have seen his face, but nonetheless, that's a problem. So they were seeking to reduce his $1 million bond. The Clark law firm and Cole Law confirmed to WFAA Saturday that their firm no longer represents Anthony in any capacity, and that Dallas defense attorney Mike Howard will now represent their former client.
Well, why did they change the lawyer?
Well, they needed to change the lawyer, right? They need to change the lawyer. And now they have a bulldog. Now Caramello is obviously going to get a good chance of making sure that all of the facts are brought forth and that all of the facts come to light, because that's what needs to happen. Good, bad, or indifferent, all of the facts must be given. And the problem is now this whole entire thing has been tried in the court of public opinion. Remember, you and I just covered this about 2 podcasts ago, dealing with the court of public opinion as it relates to men being falsely accused. And, the media gets in front of any lawsuit these days, no matter how big or small, no matter what it's talking about. So in the court of public opinion, this young man has already been, just get a rope at this point. It's basically just to get a rope.
And I want to say this too, right? A lot of y'all that never been in crime before or committed a crime, I want to say this. Now, when they taking a trial, right? Let's just say them 3 boys, the twins and that black boy. Let's say if they did have previous encounters, and it was negative. It was negative. Let's just say you was one of the kids and you seen them having a negative or whatever the case. If you can't really prove it, it's all substantial. They will not allow that big piece in the courts because that will give more clarity to the whole situation. Like, okay, there was a reason he brung a knife, but they trying to paint like they didn't know each other before this incident. And let's just say again, I'm gonna reiterate. Let's just say if they did knew each other, and the white boy kept picking with him, you can't really prove that. It's a lot of stuff that we do that you know for a fact was the truth, but it's all substantial. It's not if you don't got no solid ground proof, it's not gonna get held up in court. But that will be a big piece that will understand, okay, the dynamics between the two boys, why he brought that knife in the first place. And it would take away from that white boy from the world just trying to treat him like he just this innocent, good kid. He was a victim of a nigga. Because they damn near trying to paint this black boy like a ghetto nigga. He ain't supposed to even be there. Like he just jumped the gate and that white boy seen some young thugs in the bleachers and trying to move them because the mom said he did the right thing, trying to move him off the bleachers. Like he wasn't an athlete there. He was supposed to be there. So that's what I really want y'all to understand. Like when you go to court, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a lot of stuff, even though it happened. But if you don't got no solid proof, they're gonna object to that, showing certain information, unless you got physical proof that them boys knew each other prior to this. It's gonna get objected.
Well, I see William Smith. He says, into the conversation late, but everyone has a camera. Where are the videos? This is my point. They like for us to get upset and get all divided about it. And all I'm saying is, bring me some proof. Tell me what's going on. And they're cracking up because of the way I say this young man's name. What is it? It's not Caramello. What is it? Carmelo? Like the basketball guy, Carmelo?
They gonna say you got the JP effect. Hang around JP.
I mean, to me, is it Caramello or Caramello? Carmelo? Is it Carmelo? Y'all, Black Beauty, what is it?
Caramello or something.
Black Beauty, I wish you could come on up here and tell me. Because I think it's Carmelo. Is it not Caramello or it's Carmelo? It's Carmelo.
And this boy right here, the son, he was actually a part of the problem with his brother.
Well, here's the thing. I went to go and look for the gentleman's the police collected three phones, which to me, I don't know who jumps on camera after their son gets, unalived. The JP effect, Joshua. White boys run up on me. It's going down. Self-defense. Well, here's the thing. Thank you, William. Oh my God, I love you, William. William and Frank, you guys, I love y'all. All right. The number 3, absolutely. This reeks of PSYOP to do exactly what is happening right now. And this is the reason. Oh, you pronounce it like the basketball player. Carmelo Anthony. Okay. Carmelo. Thank you, Jones. So here's the thing. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. The reason why you hear me going in that direction is because I feel like this is something that is created to divide. And we remember, especially those on my channel, we remember seeing ads for positions for people. They needed crisis actors in Texas before. They've needed crisis actors in Georgia. They've had them on Craigslist. They've had them on Backstage. They've had them all over the place where if you want to come down here, we need people to come down and you'll get $100 a day. $100 and lunch every day until we're done, and then that's it. And then later you come up and you find out that some of these crisis actors were literally in some of the large events that happened in the United States over the past several years. So it's very important for us to not walk around blind like we don't know this stuff takes place. And the reason why they needed to take place is because they have to cause enough of a bit of confusion to keep you off of what's really going on. And I don't care whether it was the Biden administration or the Trump administration or your local authorities, they have to create enough confusion to divide, because where they're headed, you would need to be together in order for all of us to stand together and protect each other. Because here's the deal. Like I say, you got one bird, you got two wings. You get one right wing, one left wing. You got one bird. You got one coin. You got two sides. You got heads, you got tails. In this case, you have one government that has two sides, and there is an enemy. I mean, it's not the one that they sell you. You the enemy, because you have constitutional rights. And if you understand what we are as a republic, you'll understand that's where we're headed back to. And that's where we were supposed to already be. See, these things go deeper, far deeper than the minuscule type of it's low vibrational stuff that they want us to trip on. That's the reason why I'm talking about it. Because as long as we're steady dealing with the low vibrational reasons of them causing the distraction, we will never see that we are going back to a republic. And people need to understand what that means. We're never a democracy, but that's all you've been pushed to believe for the last 10 years. Democracy, our democracy, our democracy. When you used to say the Pledge of Allegiance that they now say is such a terrible thing, what would you used to say? You used, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Do your math, do your due diligence, and find out what that means. You understand? So now that we're saying a lot of these things being reversed, a lot of states saying, okay, no, we don't want to have state taxes anymore. A lot of these organizations coming up saying, well, look what they're doing to this, and look what he's doing to the tax code. Look what he's doing to the school, the Department of Education and Department of these. Y'all don't understand that those things were never supposed to be, because we are a republic. DC, District of Columbia, okay, the whole bankrupt United States. y'all, those of you who know me know I'm not tripping. Those of you who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about, okay? When you consider the fact that the United States is bankrupt and it no longer exists, now they have to reverse things. But in order for them to reverse things, there's some things that they don't want you to know. And there's some things that they're going to slip up under this wire while it's being done, so that they can, with some due diligence, hold on to some power. It must go back to the republic. This place must go back to the republic. It must. There's no chance. There's no choice. And that's why you're going to see a lot of these stories, because they need to divide. Why? Because eventually they're going to try to repeat history. And what part of the history am I talking about? Civil War, baby. They must create enough disdain between shades of colors of human beings in order for them to have the justification in the mind of history that they had to have a civil war, because these things were going to happen. You had the North, and then you had the South, and then you had this situation, you had that situation. But at the end of the day, it is republic or nothing. So educate yourselves on what that means and what does that look like for the citizenry. Do your math and understand that there's been a lot of stuff. As long as you've been attached to the system that I talked about earlier, as long as you attach to that system, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You can go ahead on and rock that democratic stuff on out, but then you will be and continue to be a slave. Now, I'm going to back on up. For those who follow the Lockhart perspective and headlines with a voice, y'all know I ain't tripping. Go ahead.
So my thing is, I don't think there's no self-defense against white people. It was a guy in Milwaukee a few years ago, and I guess the black man was rolling on his bike in traffic, and the white guy almost hit him. I guess the black boy, they was yelling at each other. I guess the black dude must have tried to hit him or something, but he took off. So he rode his bike to about like half a mile down. The white man followed him all the way down there, got out of his vehicle with a knife, coming to the black man, threatening him with a knife. The black man shot and killed him. Now he got sentenced to life. So do you think it's really a self-defense law against when it comes to if a black man or a black person deletes a white person?
I think that I think that self-defense has to be proven, and it is one of those things that once you say it's self-defense, that there has to be proof that it's self-defense. The danger is these days is when in time frames where you know you got a camera phone or somebody got a camera, and let's be honest, there's no reason for there not to be any surveillance in this circumstance or situation. There's no reason. Why? Because we already know we're in a police state. We already know that everything is surveilled. We already know that. So the mere fact that as of this moment, I have not seen any surveillance videos is because of the fact, letter A, perhaps they're trying to pull together enough footage and physical footage to generate an AI to show us a video later, now that I'm putting it out here and saying it in the elements, right? Or in the element of the air anyway. Or there never was a situation that happened like this. You got cell phones everywhere. You're in a tent and nobody can see this. So yes, I believe that self-defense will work, but the problem is that oftentimes they may have a bad attorney. They may have a lot of different things, and it doesn't mean that that's not by design. What I'm saying is, yes, you walk up and you hit me and I hit you back and I get away and I call the police. You best believe that it's going to work. Why? Because I'm not about to take it. I'm going to shout it. I got enough people that's going to shout it. The bad part is perhaps that young man did not have enough people to shout it. And perhaps that young man ended up getting an attorney that was provided for him, and he was not able to have proper defense, which means he needs to go back again and have it again. But there's a lot of people that are sitting in prisons for that are there illegally, both white and black. Listen, there's a channel here on YouTube, and I will be honest with you. This guy has this channel. He's an attorney, and he covers civil rights violations. If anything, I need to be showing his stuff versus this contrived trash, because he even asks, hey, please post this video. Please share these videos. I'm trying to get people help. These cats are hurting everybody. And when I say these cats, I mean in this particular instance, they're police officers that he's showing civil rights day in and day out being violated by white cops, with black people, with white people, it doesn't matter who it is. The civil rights are what's under attack. This movie that we're watching right here, watch this movie, but just like we say over in Lockhart Perspective, get on down there. When you see the smoke up top, it's time to stop, drop, and roll. And when you stop, drop, and roll, you're able to see whose feet are really orchestrating what. You see them shoes over there? See them Stacey Adams? All right, then all you got to do is look up top a little bit and you're going to see Reverend Porkchop. Hey, you see those over there? You already got to know. Look up a little bit higher and you're going to be able to see that those nice, expensive, bespoke shoes are one of a politician, somebody who gets his shoes made for him. If you watch exactly what's going on, you will see that even the conversation we're having right now, where we're trying to wake everybody up to say, hey, don't believe the hype, you will know that it's a part of their plan. But there's only a few that crowd in the wilderness and say, don't follow this to the point where you begin to use your power to split and inevitably become a part of the problem. If we buy into this as any form of truth, and we take a side, which I've seen people like Charleston White come out and take a side, and I'm here to say it. When you start to take the side of an individual who has risen to fame, and I know you know him personally, and I'm not trying to, tear up y'all's relationship or your friendship or any of that, JP, but I'm going to say this. if you do want to talk about black and white, how a black boy get that much power to get up and say that much, and he just got out of prison not long ago? How a black boy get that kind of power? This dude already told you he's a snitch and he gonna tell. Now you gonna come up and take a side against this circumstance? You literally are taking a definitive side against the young man, Carmelo.
I think Charles White don't really believe what he's saying. Well, he say stuff that he know going to trigger.
He needs to shut up because he's a danger, not only to black
Definitely
people,
a
but to
danger.
white people as well. He is a danger to white people. He is a danger to black people because there are a lot of people now who are on the defense that are trying to protect themselves because of the trash that's being promulgated through the media and through people like him and people that are like him that listen to him. Because a lot of those people that listen to him and that know people who bring him on their platforms, they are dangerous. Because what you are doing is you are not only pushing the lie, but you're also taking individuals, shaping their minds to believe that there is no divisiveness in this planet. Mark my words, I'm not saying that there's no divisiveness. There is. What I'm trying to tell you is you need to understand who the enemy really is. That's all I'm saying. You listen, if back in 1965 you had a little old white woman, man, I wish I could find that story. It's a little old white woman sitting up saying how her black woman, she had a servant, a slave type of a woman who literally nursed her children. Okay. She nursed her children and then she nursed the second set of children. So when this black woman had a baby, her milk kept producing because now her boss or her slave master or the woman she was a servant to, she had a baby. Well, she wasn't going to nurse the baby. So the black woman nursed the baby. And the white woman is saying that our niggers don't have no problem. Our darkies are good. I don't like people coming in disrupting our darkies. These are things that were said, y'all. Y'all know I'm from Mississippi. Y'all know I'm from the South. I'm not making nothing up. My only point is if those people were saying that in 1965 and I was born in 64, where them people at? Where they at? Where they kids? Where they grandkids? Are they the judges? Are they the policemen? What I'm saying is you got to know the system, you got to know your environment, and you got to know the difference between a lie and the truth. And if you're going to be here and you're going to be in this system, you need to understand the rules of engagement. And to JP's point, if they do not favor you, then get your tail over there where you belong. And I'm not talking about this little boy in this circumstance because, as we all know, there are two stories. One that says that the twins were not supposed to be there, and the other that says he was supposed to be there because he was running track. What I'm saying to us when I say get over there where we belong, get back into what we're supposed to be doing, and that is building a united front so that our children's children can have something. The problem is that as soon as we see circumstances like this, we start twerking even more. You got girls twerking even more. Then you got the men out here pimping everybody. Then you got all of these different things in social media where the problem now becomes an issue where all of the black folks or people that's got any melanin in them that call themselves African American, indigenous, aboriginal, or whatever, the problem then becomes we become even worse. You got more men out here cheating with somebody else's wife. You got that going on, and then you got the women out here talking about, like this old woman on Instagram the other day talking about, I was with this man for 25 years and he had a wife and I didn't care and I was happy, and when he died didn't nobody know but me and him. Nasty stuff. This is what our culture does. We don't get together and make sense of what it is that we need to do to become who we need to be. We are never going to get there. You know why? Because we're so freaking far removed from what the actual goal is that we'll never get there. But if we keep listening to people like Charleston White and those who employ him and those who allow him to come up and spew his trash, garbage, ignorant stuff, we got problems. We got problems. Go ahead, JP. We got problems.
And another thing too, the fake cries from their parents. Like they had to force themselves to cry. You could tell that the boy was was problematic within the own home. So he has a behavior about himself. Both of the boys, but since this happened, of course they got to play the victim. But I almost see like a relief. It's not a relief because you don't want nothing to happen to your kids, but still, I think her son was very problematic. A lot of times what they do in schools is because what they get done at home and what's going on in the home. That's why he felt like he could just try to bully on that boy, and he just messed around and found out. I think
Yeah.
that I think the white race is not going to allow no white dead body from the hands of a black man or a black boy to just get swept under the rug like that. They're not gonna allow a win against a white boy that's athletic, doing good, and all this other type of stuff, and the black boy just go free. So the difference between when black men is fighting self defense and white people, for one, they got the white people bound together, especially against a black man or a black boy. They're gonna come together, and that voice of the court of opinion will damn near gonna shape the decisions in court. Because if it's millions of white people cheering and saying that that white boy is wrong or that black man is wrong, no matter if he was right in the self defense case or not, the jurors are related to a lot of these people. White people got this instinct of, just like Mexicans, they got this instinct of, every other race do it. They got this instinct to protect their own kind. Black people be trying to be the all the world just so they can get accepted. No, no, this is a different game. So not only that, he gonna have, he got these white people. They got the prosecutor, everybody on their side. They got the news reporter, producing incomplete and false information about the stuff. So they already shaping. The narrative. So when this boy get in court, he damn near guilty if he gonna depend on a jury. And then I think if when you have a black and white crime like that, because there is racism though, it should be if you on a jury of 12 and this is a black boy, it should be 6 black boys and 6 black men and 6 white men. It shouldn't be an all white jury because the white people is not of our peers. I don't know when they start saying that white people is a part of our peers. They are not, and they are culturally different. I think that they should have equal amount on both ends. 6 white juries. This is the reason why we can pull up stats on a whole bunch of black men being in prison. You know why? Because the system, the juries is always white. It's always white, of course. If it was flipped all the way around and we had an all black court, the black judge, the black prosecutor, the bailiff black, the jurors is all black, and a white man came up there and committed a crime, especially against a black man, what you think the outcome gonna be?
It ain't going to always be the same. You know why it's not going to be all the same? Because you're speaking as if we have unity and there is no unity. The reason why, and I know I have to keep going here, but I'm going to, the reason why justice has a blindfold over its face, over her face, is because it's supposed to be, not that it is all the time, but it is supposed to be based on law. Unfortunately, in some situations, it's based on the color of law. Okay. And I use that term loosely, but it's supposed to be based on justice, based on what you are supposed to look at. Here's the thing. As long as these individuals are allowed that are in leadership to promulgate stories like this, there's always going to be divisiveness. It's never going to change. And as long as people decide to take a side when they can see with all due diligence that there is a lie and that there is something foul afoot, we will never grow. But the other cultures that you've mentioned will grow. We've been replaced. It was amazing to me when I saw Al Sharpton, Reverend Porkchop, standing up there telling everybody not to go shop on this day or that day. Our voice doesn't matter anymore. They've
Right.
pushed in enough people to change the narrative here in the United States. We think our dollar matters. Our dollar don't matter, and neither does our voice. Why? Because in as much as we say Black Lives Matter, we're running around here harming each other. And I'm not even talking about the stuff that's on the news. I'm talking about within our community. You can think of circumstances and situations where it's been us against us, and that's sad. So we can say, and they can push, the narrative that Black Lives Matter, and we all know that was created. And even though they have the Black ladies that are up there that they say created, we already know who funded it. Because if you went to their original website and you clicked the button to donate, it took you directly to Act Blue, and I ain't lying. It went directly to Act Blue, and who was on there? Big donors. How many times do you know anybody that jumps on our bandwagon like that in droves and millions of dollars being donated? That doesn't happen. That is the reason why we have to make ourselves a committee of one and decide what it is that we know to be right and wrong. And I'm not saying that racism does not exist. You guys have heard me say that there have been times where when I was a little 12-year-old girl and I was trying to cross the street, when I had the right of way, a man trying to make a left turn and I'm walking on a green, he's making a left turn right there at the light. And he tells me to get off the street. Get out the street, you NB, Inger B. That stuck with me forever. So I'm not one of these people to say that racism is not real. It is real, and it's also being used against you. That's my point. It's being used against us. Sometimes we have to do just like we all did with Juicy Smoulier. All of us sort of sat back and we was all quiet for a good minute. You didn't hear none of us say nothing about that Jussie Smollett case in the very beginning. We was all sitting back like, yo, wait, what? You was in Chicago at what time? And what had happened? Wait a minute. And they said, what? Sometimes we just got to sit back and say, yeah, I don't know about that. Let's go ahead and finish this because we only have a little bit amount of time today. So let's go ahead and let me play or skip through this. Here we go.
It's just got to be so.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed by mostly our family, but this whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. And if I could say,
notice the number 11. For those of you guys in the chat that are from the Lockhart perspective, we're looking at numbers, and that's what we do here. We're looking at numbers. We just got through understanding the number 3. I think Frank, one of my sons in the chat, put up the number 3. And then you've got 11 here. Okay, so let's go. Warriors 11. You see 2 11s, 11 on the hat, 11 on the back, Warriors across the bottom of the helmet. Let's go.
Say anything to the nation, I would say, to make sure that you just hug.
You're looking at 3 11s here, believe it or not. Look on the arms. 1, 2, that's an 11. 1 11, 1 11, and another 11 right there. Okay. These are a little spread out, and you'd be stretching it to say that that's an 11, but that right there, that's an 11. And so is that, and so is that. Warriors, go.
Your baby's time, and you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
Where's the tears, though, sis? Where's the tears, mama?
Yeah.
I hear you, and you may be all teared out, but I'm going to tell you, I lost my dad on the 31st. And I literally cried again this morning. And I'm probably going to cry some more. But when I tell you it's tears. And it wasn't from something like this. Okay? My dad did not die in a tragic situation. If he had died in a tragic situation, it'd probably be even more tears. But let's go ahead and finish.
Hunter, I know you were there. Thank you, Megan. Take your time. Hunter, I know you were there. When it happened. What can you tell us about what happened at that track meet? How could this thing that seems like is not on the menu of possibilities could happen. Again, I was at a track meet, by the way, on Tuesday. This is not something you think could ever happen. How did it happen?
So it was a really bad storm in the morning, and they had a lot of delays. And me, my brother, a couple of kids were walking back from the field house of the middle school because we attended that middle school when we went to middle school, and we were saying hello to old coaches and catching up with them. And then we're walking back to our stand where we put our tent up so all the bleachers were right there were not wet from all the rain. We come back, we sit down, and this kid said something behind me. I've never met this kid in my entire life, never knew who he was. Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for. And I turned around and asked him who he was. He started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always is with me, just brothers, just having my back. And things started getting more like higher intensity. And the kid said some like aggressive stuff, like reckless stuff, and also try to handle the problem. And
yeah.
Austin was always one to step up. He always was one to step up.
Could you have any more? Could you have any more ambiguity? Can there be any more ambiguity? Can you be any more vague, folks?
See, he really telling on his brother. Her mama is too. They slipping out. They don't realize what they saying. When she said that he always be the one to step up, the brother, because by them saying that boy, the exact words of Anthony saying that touch me and find out. That already saying that they was the aggressor. They was posing threats.
Right. Nobody's stupid.
They literally told on themselves.
Yeah.
That they were the aggressors, and he was defending. The words what the brother said he gonna end up saying is that the black boy Anthony said, if you touch me and see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That implies that your brother was sitting up there threatening him and putting his hands on him, and he fucked around and found out. That's what ended up happening. The boy wasn't worried about the black boy wasn't worried about the words or threats. All the black boy kept saying, touch me and see what's gonna happen. The white boy done killed their case.
I can't disagree with you there. I cannot disagree with you there. I can't.
That implies that he was getting threatened.
I can't disagree.
But you know what? In this news article, what they doing, they removing all of that. They not telling you, they don't want to put that white boy in the light that he really deserved to be in. No, that little white boy was a little punk, and he thought that they felt that white boy privilege was gonna get him off, just get to go around bullying on niggas, and he ran up on the right nigga to get him that business. And that's what happened. His brother's right there too. First off, the boy didn't die in his arms. I don't know why he want that type of sympathy. He died in the hospital. I will argue that this boy got his brother deleted.
And what do you use to substantiate that?
Because if they were sitting up there arguing with this boy, threatening this boy, and that black boy said, touch me and see what's gonna happen, he could have pulled his brother back. But word was that him and his brother was trying to threaten this boy and attack. See, he trying to remove all the wrong. They trying to make it seem like they ain't do nothing wrong to this black boy. He was just asked to leave. They just asked his boy to leave, and he got very violent. That's how they trying to paint the narrative. And we know how white people is. He got his brother killed because he could have, if that's his brother and his brother respect him, he could have go tell a teacher. But they decided to be the teacher and the security. That's not your job to put hands on nobody. But they feel like they can do that because that's how they feel about niggas. I'm glad that nigga is not killed that white boy.
No, we ain't going there. We're not gonna say that because here's the skinny. If this is a real story or not a real story, we got to really think with a cooler head. And here's the deal: we don't want nobody to be gone. We don't want nobody to be gone. No, we don't want that.
Why not?
Because those are not the type of words that we use when we're using a level head and when we are able to deduce what we need to deduce to get to the point. We don't use words like that. I'm not glad. If this is a real story, I'm not glad that the baby's gone. And if this is a fake story and they wanted me to read the book, I'm not going to be happy that the child is gone. Why? Because I have compassion as a human being. And when I rock compassion
for you, never had.
You know what, JP, you and I aren't going to agree on this piece because as far as I see it in my own personal space, I don't have the time to have that kind of energy in my spirit, right? And then I do not believe that that is the type of way that we are to look at human life, because once we do that, we are just as bad as those that we are attempting.
But we need to be at sometimes, Ms. Lockhart.
But then we're no different. You know what I'm saying?
Well, sometimes we're not. I'm no longer trying to be this good. Guess what, Ms. Lockhart? You have said it many times that we've been doing the right things for hundreds of years and still getting the same result. That means trying to operate in that fashion is insanity. We black folks been trying to operate in this love the world and not care and loving your enemy. No, that boy was an enemy. He got done like he's supposed to got done.
Okay, so let's use that. Let's use that as good point, but let's use it. Okay. And I want to welcome everybody to the podcast today. Thank you. So let's use that mindset, right? Don't you think just the statement alone or the outcome alone is vindication enough? Because see, here's what happens when we say, I'm glad that this happened. I'm glad that happened. Knowing that words have power and understanding self-responsibility and personal responsibility, we have to know that there are those around us who look at us, and even though some may not agree, they may look up to us. They may take that mindset and emulate it. And then that's how stuff gets promulgated within the community, because now you've got a whole bunch of people walking around with that mindset. And that's not kosher. Just the instance of this situation ending the way that it is.
Ms. Lockhart,
go ahead.
Ms. Lockhart,
go ahead.
I think especially black men, we is done trying to protect the white man and the white kids and trying to be this loving people. That didn't do nothing but us. That type of love didn't do nothing for the black race, but got us deleted.
Okay.
So no, we're gonna match their energy. No, I think black men need to start hoping and praying that more stuff like this happen, because we always getting the ones getting deleted.
Okay.
And
let's use that.
I'm tired of this Jesus. I think the worst thing that happened to black folks was they gave us this false deity and this false fake religion called Jesus.
Okay.
That kept us so stuck and stagnated, and unfortunately, mainly our black grandmamas and stuff pushed this stuff. And this is the reason why black boys should never been in the care of the woman, because y'all got that much compassion to the point where it's nothing but a detriment. It's a detriment to even populate these people. Mm-hmm. Black women will go out there and a few black men, but they will continue to populate this white race. If anything, you should eliminate the white race.
Well, now that I got to draw the line. I got to draw the line because once we start to talk, here's the question. If we're talking like that, what's the goal, man? Beyond that conversation, let's take the conversation off the table and let me ask you this. What is the goal for Black folk? What should be the goal? Let's just deal with that. And I don't want to talk about the legal aspects. I'm talking about the practicality of it all. Practically, what is the goal of Black people? What is our inevitable goal? Let me ask you that. What is the goal?
The goal is to participate in finally participate in the war that's been, especially amongst Black men, that the war of Black men have been have been involved in, but not even realizing that they've been in a war. Finally fighting back. I'm not interested in trying to do this compassion junk. I'm not interested in that.
So you're not interested in life?
Ain't no God in earth can make me have compassion for that, ever.
Okay.
Ever.
See, this
black men need to participate in a war. It's been a war amongst black men. It's been a war.
Still not telling me what the goal is, JP. Calm down before you get
that's wiping us out. No, they need the same treatment. Hit me and I hit you back.
Okay,
that's the treatment they need to get.
Okay, so let's look at that. Therein lies the self-defense thing right there. If you hit me, I hit you back. And then what? Right? Listen, here is the thing. When you start to talk like that, that's what the PSYOP is all about. If you don't see that this has been created to pull up those feelings and to now shape your words to go out into, listen, every word you say, whether people believe it or not, goes into the infinity. It goes into the atmosphere. And those terms and those words will emanate forever. They do not stop. So once those words are out there, you're drawing that energy to yourself. So once it's out there and you now begin to, everywhere you go, these things begin to happen and you say, see, I told you. Well, no, you told you.
Well, they're going to wipe us out. But think about how many black folks that got wiped out playing this loving world and they still got wiped out. If they're going to wipe me out, I'd rather them wipe me out with it, that they know that I hated them and I wanted to wipe them out.
Okay, but
I don't want to love no enemy.
You don't have to love no enemy, but you don't have to be a savage either.
They don't got compassion for niggas that got killed.
Okay, but let's say it like this. Let's calm down a little because because of the optics and because of the fact that we need to be able to read, and because of the fact that we do need to remember that this is going to be on a replay. I don't want us to be, so loud and so boisterous because let's be honest, it's not happening in our household right now, right? Let's just keep it a beam. It's not going on in our homes right now. It's not happening, thank God, to any of our children.
It is happening though, Ms. Lockhart.
Right, the second,
you know how much stuff I've been dealing with when it comes to these white folks when I go outside, especially when I have my kids and stuff. And you know how many times I done dealt with this type of stuff at jobs and stuff because some white boys feeling entitled. I know I'm getting tired. And Ms. Lockhart, I love you to death, but I think that black women should step to the side.
Well, I think if it's a war, we should, but this is
got too much love and compassion to a fault, to our own detriment, and we no longer need that. Y'all, I think black women is hurting us with that. Well, black men and black women
is working in this circumstance.
To listen to that. We've been doing that for 500 years, and it didn't make zero. If there was a Jesus, did Jesus seem like Jesus more favorite of the gangster, the white gangsters, than the loving black folks? Because the loving black folks still got wiped out. So I think this is where we should have been with our fathers at. Because our fathers are going to say, it's a time to have compassion, but it's a time to get ugly. So this not the time to be all loving to our enemy.
Here's my question. In this context, and you've got, whether we are any argument, and I don't mean fight, I mean any argument, whether it's a mathematical equation, no matter what it is, there has to be the end game. And my only question to you is, if we function like those individuals that we are accusing of being animals, that's why do we think it is okay to say that it is all right for a child to no longer be here, period? And I'm going to ask that, and I don't want the yelling because I need for the integrity of this audio to go on, right? I don't need it to not be able to make it on this channel, right? I need for us to be able to be level-headed and to deal with just the facts. Because if we just deal with the facts, we have to examine those statements and phrases and understand how we arrived and understand why we believe that it's okay to feel this way. Now, I understand that you're heated, and I understand that this is a hot topic for all of us. But by the
Mm-hmm.
same token, we have to understand that if we do not have a goal for the collective, then those are the type of comments and those are the type of actions that will continue. What is the goal? I'll rephrase the question. I'm going to ask it again. What is the goal for the quote unquote Black community? What should the goal be? Let me ask that.
The goal should be, right, to put our guards up. And what I mean by put our guards up, because right now we don't got our guards up and they keep welling off on us because we trying to be this loving crap. The thing is, I think that by us having the same matching their energy, it might bring Black folks a little bit of protection.
So
Right?
I'll give my
Now,
idea of what the goal should
hold
be
on,
first.
let me get this out. Let me get this out right quick. It might bring us some protection, right? Because the loving stuff is keeping them. Now they feel so comfortable that they can. That white boy felt so comfortable to the point where he felt like so entitled and been watching Black men. I'm quite sure he don't watch and heard Black men just getting wiped out, and them people just walk. So he felt so comfortable putting his hands on that white boy, and he thought black men would just all talk, touch me and find out. So which I'm saying, I'm happy that he found out, and there need to be more of those situations. That might be some protection. They might think 2 or 3 times from coming walking up on a Black man and trying to delete us. Miss
Well, we
Lockhart,
definitely know.
I know how you is.
We
I know how you
definitely
is.
know.
Like,
We definitely know that there'll be more men in prison if that's the mindset, and that's definitely
well, it's
not
either
what we
prison or
want.
death. It's either at this point, Miss Lockhart, we don't need no more fear. It's either we getting deleted for
Mm-hmm.
putting both of our hands up. So
Mm-hmm.
it's either prison or death. This boy finna darn near go to prison for
Mm-hmm.
self-defense. So we don't need no more fear. We don't need no more fear.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to keep backing down and loving our enemy. No, we need to stand up to the white man.
So let
And
me tell you what my idea.
sauce that they giving us.
All right.
Yes, we need to see more dead white folks.
Okay,
Just
let
like
me give you
black folks.
let me stop you because you're getting on the Charleston White thing and I can't have that on my channel. So let me just say this. This is what I think that the goal should be for us as a community. It should be for us to have the mindset of educating our children in such a way that they understand first off the basics and the principles of life. And that is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Letter A. B, defend yourself if you have to defend yourself. All right. If you must defend yourself, defend yourself. But the most important thing is generational wealth and how to get there. Allow those individuals this is my goal. This is what I would lay down as the goal for us. Understand the difference between generational wealth and just staying below the poverty line. Figure out ways to go back to doing what we used to do, where we used to have our own stores, where we used to have our own bus lines, where we used to have all of those different things that actually helped our community, where we had our own banks, where we had our own doctor's offices. Those are the things that take your mind to be a little bit higher than where everybody is right now, because where they want us to stay is in that lower base. Because at the lower base, when we're dealing with the lower emotional area of our chakras or of our body or of our being, that's when the enemy can come in, because now we're on the enemy's territory. See, before, when we're looking at just building generational wealth, making sure that fathers and mothers choose correctly when they're choosing how they're going to be paired together, going back to teaching people how to run a household, going back to teaching the men how to be a plumber, how to be a mechanic, how to be an engineer, how to be a doctor. These are the things, how to read when our children are in the 3rd grade, making sure that every one of them know how to write in Danilian and cursive, even if the school systems out there in the other part of the world are not teaching those things. Going back to basics should be our net goal. That should be the goal. The goal should be, if we master these things, then we're not going to deal with X, Y, and Z. And when we have to deal with X, Y, and Z, because we've mastered these things, now we have attorneys that are within our community that can actually understand the law and understand how to copiously dictate what needs to happen in case of X. So I believe that our goal should be getting back to the basics of just human life and basics of being a viable person living on this planet and in this plane. Because for me, I'm not of this place. This is not my home. I'm journeying through this piece. Okay. I'm taking a journey through this. But while I'm there, my eyes are open to who I'm around and what they want from me. I'm not saying that by me having this as the goal for the Black folks that I'm not aware that I got an enemy and that I don't know that my enemy is evil. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I know you there and I see you. And when I see you and you come step to me, I'm going to deal with you with the same exact legalese that you deal with me because I've studied it just like you studied it. So in other words, I know your playbook. And you're not going to come over here and do nothing wrong to me because I'm over here minding my own business. I'm living my business. I'm living my family life.
But they're not going to favor you, though.
Hold on a second. Whether it's my grandsons or whoever, I really want us all to understand something, that in order for you to play the game, you got to understand the rules of engagement. And the way that you do that is extracting yourself up out of that piece and looking at it with a bird's eye view and saying, okay, I understand. That's how any master planner needs to be. A master planner don't walk into stuff destroying things like a bull in a china cabinet. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. We've got to understand that for every action, there is a corresponding reaction. If we throwing out the same thing they throwing out, that ain't nothing but a melee. And if you got more of them than you do of us, we gonna be the ones laid out on the field or back in the jailhouses.
So I'm glad you said that part. I'd rather be laid out of all Black men be laid out on the field.
Well, that's good.
Than to be standing up being somebody's punk. Right. So I think when it comes to the Black community, this is my problem. And I was raised by Black women. I was told if a nigga, which was going to be somebody that looks like me, put his hands on me, you better not come in my house if you didn't hit that boy back. I don't care how
big allow that either. My mother would take us and make us fight back, and that's what they taught us in the 70s.
But every time it comes to a white boy, we got to come up with all of this strategies. No, they need to get done the same way, the same mindset that we have for other Black boys and Black men. We need to have that same smoke for them. What makes them so special that they can't get done? So the white boy come in the near future. I hope white boys take this as a lesson. If you coming in and try to approach niggas in the wrong way, you're going to get done the same way that you trying to do to him. Do unto others as you want done to yourself. Ms. Lockhart just said it. So if you coming in and trying to punk on a nigga, don't be surprised if a nigga start punking on you.
You got to hit somebody back. Now, I'm not no idiot.
But it's always just more comfortable to hit a nigga back, though.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that a lot of times people think, oh, well, you're this age or you're that age, you're supposed to take this or that. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you put your hands on me, I'm going to defend myself, and you may not like the outcome because that's human life. That's just human nature. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't want nobody putting their hands on me, so I'm not going to put my hands on nobody. But if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. But the point that I'm trying to make is to prevent us from even having that hatred that does us no good, and it don't do white folk no good either. Let me just say that. Whether you're white, black, purple, or yellow, hate ain't never did nothing for you. It ain't your friend. Hate is what makes people think outside the box and then go and hurt somebody. That's what hate does. Hate makes a man kill his wife and kill his kids because he got upset at the job. That's what hate does. Hate does those things. So if I understand the difference between hate and thinking with my head, I'm going to get up out of there. Yeah, I would have knocked the holy Dalitas out that cat, and I would have backed on up and dialed 911. Hey, this dude just hit me. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, you get treated different from them black men. So when the cops get called, the black man going to find 100 reasons to protect it. Look at this news person. He's trying to find 100 reasons to protect this white boy. So you already know it's privilege there. So it's a different ball game. It's not, Miss Lockhart. It's not about just going around offing white folks. I'm talking about for the white people that feel like they need to We not with this turning the other cheek no more.
I'm not talking about turning the other cheek, JP. That's not what I'm saying. So let me clarify that, because I want to let you know, and everybody else who's listening, I'm not saying turn the other cheek. What I'm saying is, in this circumstance, it's not a healthy conversation for us in leadership and for us in the public eye to say, I'm glad X happened. I'm not glad X happened, because if this is a real circumstance and the things that you're saying about the judicial system are correct based on the way that you see it, then that means that this child is going away for life, or he will be given life, or they will take his life. So I'm not glad the child's gone. If this is a real circumstance and not a psyop, I'm not glad this child is gone. Why? Because if what you're saying is true, and what you're saying based on your own experiences are true, okay, and what we've seen as history, I feel for this Black child. I'm not saying it didn't happen the way that the child said it happened, or the people who were witnesses said it happened. What I'm saying is, I'm not happy, because
Well,
that's
can I
just
ask you a
another
question, Ms.
child
Lockhart?
gone to the garbage.
May I ask you a question?
Anytime.
With the history, the dynamics between Black folks and white folks, if there was a world, in the Blacks world, in the Black people world, if white folks did not exist, period, would Black people had a different outcome?
Well, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even be alive. You wouldn't have met me. If white people didn't exist, I wouldn't be speaking to you now. I would not be on this plane. I would be wherever I was prior to being summoned by my mother and my father. Because my grandfather, my great grandfather, is 110% Irish, that came through Ellis Island. His presence here is of no consequence. The reason why he was with my great grandmother is of no consequence. The point is that I would not be engaged in this conversation, nor would you have an audience with me at this very moment. I am not blind, nor am I ignorant to the tactics and the devices that have been going on in this nation since its little inception. Okay, like the Chinese said the other day, we've been around for 5,000 years. The United States ain't, they the babies. We've been here forever. I'm not blind to the tactics of the Queen. I'm not blind to the tactics of what's going on over the pond and how it actually relates to us here. I'm not blind to any of those things. What I'm saying is, I choose to rock in a different fashion. When I can see a racist, I spot them and I keep my eye on them and I deal with it accordingly with their laws. That's how I get down, right? Because I already know, as far as education is concerned, you can't top me. You can't beat me. As far as being loquacious, you don't stand a chance, because I got that too. But by the same token, you ain't gonna never see me act like what you think I am. Why? Because I know that's what you expect. And I'll never give you the happiness or the gratitude or the satisfaction of seeing me fit the bill of a finger rolling, twerking nigger woman. You ain't ever gonna see it. Why? Because I know the game, and I don't play the game like they want me to play the game.
Black Beauty said in the comments, said, Miss Lockhart, she level-headed people understand what you're saying. So they think being level-headed is the level-headed idea that they gave Black folks. To me, is only been a coward, right? You can't say that you don't want to respond with violence and you support the police department, or you support.
I never said
No, I'm
that.
not saying you. I'm saying them in the chat. If you support the military, you support the police department, you definitely support the violence.
There has to be.
If you support America, you support violence. So my thing is, it's always, when it comes to, it's like they want black men to be black women. They want black men to allow black women to get away with being violating us. They want the white man to get away with violating us. They want Karen to get away with violating us. And black men supposed to just sit up there and take all this abuse. just because in the name of some fake religion dude named Jesus. No, if that's how God want me to be, then F that God. I will not want to worship that God.
Okay, but that's not who we're talking about. We have to remember that when we're dealing in context, we must deal with the context of the conversation. Now, there's a lot of people who don't believe in Jesus. There's a lot of people who do. His presence or lack thereof have absolutely nothing to do with this case or this argument. This is the reason why we have to learn how to stay on task and understand what the motivation is. We got to understand what the game is. We have to understand what our goal for our people, for the children that we've born into this plane, we got to understand what the goal is. Because if we don't understand what the goal is, we will be wild, just like an unbridled buck, just like a horse that's just out there. We will just say anything, do anything, walk anywhere, live any kind of way, act how we want to act, and think that we're justified because X did X and this is how it happened. No, man, we got to do better. And the way that we do better is you got to understand the game. That's the reason why this cat ran out and got the attorney that he got. And let me show you his attorney, because they understood we need something different. The attorneys that we have, we don't need that attorney. This the attorney that we got. And the dude that they got is amazing. The attorney that they got is amazing.
Real quick, Miss Jill's 91. Shout out to Miss Jill. She said, we have to use other means to fight them other than hand-to-hand combat. Right?
What has it done for us since we've been doing hand-to-hand combat? How'd that end up?
We never really did that. But with her, to her point, hand-to-hand, other means of fight, the other means of fighting to them is having sex with them and creating their babies and marrying to them.
What are you talking about?
Okay, when this black woman, Miss Jill, said they got to find other means to fight them, their other means is going up under that Ku Klux Klan's robe and sucking the man's cock. But I'm responding to Miss Jill. We had to find other means to fight other than hand-to-hand combat, and what they mean to fight them back is going up under that Ku Klux Klan's robe and giving them the best head ever and giving them white babies. Okay, so that's the ideal of fight. This is why black men shouldn't have to. I think it's doing us a disservice to constantly listen to women that's full of love.
I'm not full of love.
It seems like y'all more full of love against white folks than y'all is black folks.
I don't
because the famous like her.
Hang around a little longer, baby. Hang around a little longer.
I gotta hold you to something. Okay, I gotta hold you to something. Now, we did this stream. We did a stream, and a black man who did not pull out no knife, didn't do anything. A pastor, a preacher at that was walking up to the black woman, and she shot him over about 4 or 5 times. And you was in agreement with that.
You hit him once, send
him man. It's always okay and acceptable to gun down a black man. But when we talk about gunning down white men and white boys, it's they ain't how we supposed to fight. It's always come down to that. But it's why that wasn't the same. That energy wasn't the same when it comes to that black woman that gunned down that preacher. He didn't even pull out no knife nor touched her.
Let me ask you something. You, of all people, have to be responsible for looking at the facts of any legal circumstance, but for that man stopping his vehicle in that parking lot, but for that man stepping out of his parked vehicle in that parking lot, but for that same pastor walking forward to somebody that was an alleged stranger, according to their own reports, walking up to her after she tells him, step back. And he continues. But for all the aforementioned points, he would still be here. But for him not getting out of that vehicle, he would still be here. Even if he had parked the vehicle and sat there for 2 minutes and then put his foot back on the gas, put the car in drive, put his foot back on the gas and drove home to his wife instead of being in that nightclub with foreign, strange people, okay? But for him, walking circumspectly before the Lord that he so eloquently served, he would still be here now. What am I
That white
talking
boy will
about?
still be
What am I
here.
talking about? What I am talking about is your responsibility. But for that young man taking and fighting this young black boy, he would still be here. I'm talking about personal responsibility. I'm not saying that these circumstances do not have an outcome that we don't like. What I'm saying is each and every one of us are responsible for our words. We are responsible for our choices. We are responsible for where we take our person, for how we deal with conflict, for how we deal with everything. Why? Because we're not animals. And as long as we are in this system, we have to learn how to function in this system and still be able to be successful individuals.
But
You're
you know
not
what
a
this
man.
telling me?
You're not a man that deals with these kind of things on a daily basis. We
But you know what this
all
telling
will
me though, Miss
deal with
Lockhart?
something.
You know what this telling me? It's telling me that black woman is the enemy of the black man and protect in the lovers of white man, because
So I
we
love
can
white men.
advocate, everybody can advocate for a black man, either if a black man shoot gun down, because black women utilize other black men to go gun down black men. They don't have no problem with that. And if a black man do something to a black woman and a black woman gun him down, have no problem with that.
It's
But the
easy for you
moment
to
you
hold on
touch a
to that
white boy,
narrative.
if you kill a white boy, now all of this other stuff. So what this telling me is that black woman is actually on the white man's side. You're not on the black man's side. You keep trying to make a black man be a sitting duck to
I'm not
get
trying to make
constantly
it be no
getting back
sitting
by
duck.
these people.
And that's the
You
reason why I
you
taught
constantly
my
getting back by
son.
these people, and the moment we do something back, and get rid of them. Now it's a big deal. We know, Miss Lockhart, I love you, Dell, but we no longer finna be a sitting duck, and we not gonna listen to that no more.
Well, that's
We
fine.
moving forward. This gonna be the math. If all
Okay.
black men get deleted, well, so I'd rather for that to happen.
Okay.
We rather die on our feet than to live on our knees. And if the black woman's on that side, you need to make that very clear, because it's gonna come to the point where you got to choose a side and choose a side real quick. If you acting like you're gonna be on the white man's side, well, you got to stay there. Don't come try to play the dozens and play two sides of the fence. Either you gonna be on. It's not gonna be no both sides. And we love everybody. No, you gonna pick a side. You love white man, go over there. You on their
Okay.
side. If you
Okay.
love black man, stay over here.
Okay.
It's gonna have to draw a line in the sand.
All
You
right.
can't have both legs on both sides of the fence, because I don't care what black women tell me. I'm not gonna love my enemy.
No, you
Period.
shouldn't. You shouldn't love your enemy. You shouldn't
So if
love your
the white
enemy.
man don't get on
You
that
should
side,
know who your enemy really is.
listen.
Sometimes our enemy is us. And as much as we try to, profess that we are, standing up for all and we're standing up for ourselves, sometimes we are our biggest enemy, because we do. Let me tell you something. Every
Jesus was the
great
biggest enemy for a black man.
every and that may be true in your eyes, but let me say this. Every great leader in war, in any battle, okay, they were always master thinkers. Whether you are thinking about Genghis Khan, whether you are thinking about Shaka Zulu, whether you're thinking about any of them cats, they all knew how to do what they did well. Even if I want to throw in Deborah. Deborah was a hell of a captain. And what did she do? She thought. You got to think. If you can't think, you can't lead me, baby. You can't lead me if you can't think. And I don't mean you, I mean you in general. I need somebody who's going to think and who's going to come up with some awesome ways to
We've
fix
been
this
thinking for
circumstance.
500 years. Now it's trying to get active.
I'm not talking about think like the people who've been paid opposition. Man, we've got cats like Jesse Jackson, who was not even us. He wasn't for us. You got Al Sharpton. He wasn't for us. None of these people who have stood up to say that they were for us were for us. Okay, they're the ones who talking about we got to do this and we got to boycott. We can't go shopping on this day. We can't do this. Let's march until our Nikes have holes in them. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that if you understand who you really are, if you know who you really are, then you got to understand that when you are engaging in war, you better know the art of it. If you don't understand the art of war, you're going to get exhausted and you're going to have a whole bunch of dead folks laying around you, but they didn't win the war. If the goal is to win the war, then you got to learn how to think like a warrior. And if you don't know how to think like a warrior, you're going to be on the battlefield dead. So you got to know how to play the game.
I don't think that should be a fear of. I don't think us being deceased should be no longer be the fear of us.
Rules of engagement. Let's finish listening to this video because we're going to have to be gone. But
I want to say this real quick, Ms. Lockhart. This heavy on my chest. I don't think fear of death, because we're going to die anyway. My biggest concern, the story that you're going to tell about us black men moving forward, just like the story that they've been telling about black men. I want us, our black men, no matter we lose, we don't care about losing. That ain't war is war. It's gonna be obstacles, and it's gonna be obstacles on both sides. It's not just gonna be on our side. They gonna lose some gonna have some casualties as well. So my thing is, I want our story to be told that no, these set of black men stood up. It can't be too much longer. I don't know how long that y'all expect for black men to just suppress their feelings and not do nothing, just constantly thinking. We've been thinking for 500 years. None of that stuff it's time to get more active now. We ain't nobody gonna keep how many more black men we got to take to many more black men we got to get deleted for us to be able to do something. We done tried their way. We done tried the golly way. We done tried to turn the other cheek, love your enemy. Martin Luther King, old stupid stuff.
Well, I'm not for that either. I'm not for none of that.
I want to know the best way I know how to do it.
Yeah, I'm not for none of that. I'm not for the Martin Luther King, let's just sit back until you run out of cheeks. That's not who I am. What I'm trying to tell you is, when you find yourself in this type of a circumstance that we're in, you first you made a statement earlier about America and about Americans. I'm an American. I'm not a U.S. citizen. If we don't understand who we are, then we're going to keep getting knocked down and being drugged through this type of system. The goal should be to eradicate that system that you're looking at right there on the screen. That should be the goal. And the only way that you're going to be able to eradicate that system is to understand it enough to unravel that bad boy. I'm an American. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I've never been a U.S. citizen. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, then that's part and parcel of the problem. Not you, but you in general. Folks, if y'all don't understand what I'm saying, when I'm saying I'm not a U.S. citizen, I am an American, that means that this is my land. I was born here. I was born in Mississippi. This is mine. This is my land. Okay? This is my land. You have to understand that if you come here thinking that you're a United States citizen, then you're getting what you get. Why? Because what you see on the screen, that's the United States system. What the whole topic that they're going to go and try this thing in is going to be within the U.S. system. You got to understand who you are. And if you don't understand who you are, then you're going to run out of time and you will not be able to activate your family, your lineage to be who you need to be in this place. You got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, then you need to give up. But I am not of the mindset that says, here, let me turn the other cheek and let me turn the other cheek. No, you ain't got no more cheeks to hit. No, just kick me in the ass. That's not who I am. I'm not that way. If that's who you think I am, run up on me and see. Run up on me and understand. Okay, so we need to get that out of here. I am not one of those people who believe that. And on my channel here, everybody who knows me know I'm not like that. But what I will say is, what got us to where we are right now is the comment, and that is why I dealt with the comment, because I personally understand that this young boy will be tried in that system, in the United States system. And since he's going to be tried in the United States system, I wish that boy had not died. Why? Because that boy going to be tried in that system. He's going to be right there under the United States system. You got to know that you in a place that is divided. This place is two places. It has the original place, the original people, and then it's got a whole nother set of folks. So if you're going to be here and they're in power now, you better learn how to use your head.
See, I understand about using your head, but Ms. Lockhart, you also a woman, right? Women has an energy.
Man, I ain't got it easier because I'm a woman. You see how big
No,
my mouth is?
no, it's easy. Well, let me tell you how it's easy for a woman to take this stuff than a man. Because this is why boys shouldn't been raised with their woman, with their moms. Because not saying that moms is wrong, but moms is okay with allowing to follow authority. Typically, young boys got a problem with authority, especially young black boys. They always say we have a problem with authority, especially coming from a white man. Whereas the sisters and the mamas, they okay with following the man that's in charge. They okay with submitting to somebody else's power.
Well,
they
that's
okay
their
with
problem.
that. It's gonna rub, but when it comes to us, yes, it's gonna rub us the wrong way. And then the white race treat black women a little bit more with kid gloves than they do the black man. So we are the ones that's the accepted target here in the United States. Not too much of the black woman. So of course it's not going. It's going to hit you because you got black sons and stuff like that. But it's not going to hit you to this degree that it's going to hit black men because we actually have to live through this. So we listen to our mamas and stuff. They're afraid of death. They're afraid to go to war. They don't want violence. This is why we don't need to listen to them because at some point violence is necessary. At some point we might have to take that risk. We can't listen to mama.
Who, JP?
Mama kept us being a wimp that we are today. Then they laugh at us.
Your mama might have. Your mama might have, baby. Your mother may have done that, but there are a lot of us who do not do that. When anybody has had somebody hit them and you do not defend yourself, then maybe that's that person's child. That mother may have told her child not to fight back.
I'm saying
what I'm saying is we've got to be responsible for the stuff that come out of our mouth. And we cannot use these terms of we got to fight back as a reason for not examining the words that come out of our mouth. You got to examine what come out your mouth. You got to examine that. You must examine it because if you don't, then those things will come to fruition in your own life. That's my point. I'm not one of these people that believe in, oh, let's just march. Oh, let's just stand together. Oh, let's just turn the other cheek. That ain't never been me. I'm too much of a warrior and too much of my elbows in the air for that. That ain't me. I believe you come over here. I've done told you not to come over here. Then you're going to get what you got. You come up in this house right here and you're not supposed to be in this house. You're going to leave here with some lead in a stretcher and a little bag. Don't come up to my house. Don't come up to my car. Don't walk up on me. I'm letting you know that now. But that's not saying that if I had to take somebody out, then I'm happy the person is gone. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you come over here messing with me, you're going to remember the encounter. That's my only point. And I'm saying that we've all had that mindset of let's do this because this is how they've done us. And all I'm asking is how that work out for us. If that tactic don't work, then it's a tactic that only gets these men in prison. You got to learn to understand, hey, this is a psyop. This is not a real story that we look at on the screen. This is the only reason why I'm bringing this point up. This is not real. It is created to divide. It is created to divide. And if you don't understand that the whole black man, black woman conversation was created to divide, you don't know when it all started. Do you realize that we were the original inhabitants of this land? And when they took them dogs off them ships, when they came from across the pond and came right over here with mastiffs that could bite inside of the human body and break their bones, they came here with the intention to divide. Man from the wife from the children. See, it's all played out. They already got the black man and the black woman or the indigenous man, indigenous woman separated. Now what they doing? They trying to separate that indigenous woman from her indigenous kids. Why? Because the goal is to take the people out. But if you don't know what their goal is, you don't know how to deal with them because all you're looking at is the aftermath of their goal. Instead of getting that back in there and studying and saying, okay, this is what they're doing. Okay, cool. Then I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to plan my stuff differently. You got to learn what the goal is. What is the goal? The goal is for your children to be healthy. The goal is for your daughters to be healthy, to be able to run their families and run their households. Why? Because nobody lives on 10 and exists. Can't nobody live with adrenaline in their body 24/7 and still be here. You weren't made to do that. And
What?
all that other stuff. I mean, listen, this is
Well,
the
why teach us to fight back?
Hold on
Period.
just
Then.
a second. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I want to thank everybody for being here at the Lockhart Radio
And
podcast.
make sure y'all hit the super chat. Go ahead, Miss
Okay,
Lockhart.
I just want to thank everybody for being here from the Lockhart perspective here on this program. Listen, folks, we're not going to be here long today because, as you all know, my dad did pass away, and this weekend we're not really, his services were yesterday, so we're not really necessarily going to be here long. But I do want to thank the Lockhart perspective as well as those individuals who popped in from my other channel, Headlines with a Voice, that have stopped in to see us today. We appreciate you, and we want to say thank you for that. But here is the thing that we are talking about today. We're covering the issues, Fefe and JP. We're going to update the thumbnail here in a minute. We're going to update the actual talking points of this conversation that we're having. And I want to thank you all for giving and sending out your condolences. I appreciate you. But here is my stance. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Here is my stance on this circumstance. Okay, here is where I stand. Where I stand is here and only here. I don't believe that this story is one that is real. And here's why I say that. Because the United States of America no longer has the Smith-Mundt Act in the entirety and the way that it was written originally. The Smith-Mundt Act said that the United States government did not have permission or the right to use and to promulgate false stories and narratives the way that they did in other countries. When they would go into other countries and try to tell those individuals that their country was bad and their country was all of this to vindicate themselves for being involved in any wars, they would drop either by airplane or by propaganda papers spreading to tell these people negative things and to give them false situations that made them believe their government was X, Y, or Z. The Smith-Mundt Act protected you. It protected me. It let us understand that the United States government could not use those tactics. The Smith-Mundt Act was redone. It was revamped under the Obama administration, actually one of the last administrations that was physically in the White House. Look it up, okay? The White House is where the last cat that said he didn't need anybody, all he needed was a BlackBerry and an ink pen, he redid it. It was revamped. And then when they revamped it, it said, now you can use any propaganda by any form of media that you want against the American people. My point is, and this is my stance, I don't believe this circumstance is a real one. I believe that it is a product of Hollywood. And I base that on the fact that I myself, as well as others here in the chat, have seen in the past any advertisements or job offers for actors. They had to have crisis actors in this state. They had to have crisis act. Now we come in here, we're going to give you $125 a day, and then we're going to give you lunch. And now you come on ahead and you do this part that we want. I want you guys to be over here. You guys are an angry mob. I want everybody to put on this color hat. Everybody, you come on this side, you're the opposite mob. You're going to put on this color hat and this color jacket, and these are the things that you're going to say. And here are the signs that you're going to hold, because we're going to show the media, showing the people of the United States this argument that you guys are having publicly about this fight. That's what I believe this is. I believe that it is a psyop. That is my personal opinion. It doesn't mean that it is or isn't. It means this is my opinion. And it's my opinion that it's that way because its purpose is to divide. And if you got a purpose to divide, when you begin to divide people, now you can use either side to do your bidding. They can use either side to do their bidding. They can use the black side, they can use the white side, then they can use the blacks that's over there with the whites, believing everything that's said in the media, and then they can use the blacks that want to devour everybody and walk in hate and all this other stuff. But the only thing that it does is it prevents you from moving forward. And that should always be the game. The net should be to move forward. How do you do that? What is the goal for your household? What is the goal for your children? What is the goal for your children's children? You got to have a goal because everybody knows that you got to defend yourself. That is a point, and you'd be an idiot if you did not defend yourself, right? But the point that I'm making is, what else is life about? What else is life about? Is there no more to life than just let's fight? So once you're done fighting,
I think before we get the chance to live more to life, we got to get that out the way with them first. And right now, they just been bullying on us because why? We didn't grow up with vicious fathers. We didn't grow up with the fathers. We grew up with the women that's kept. They keep our mamas keep teaching us to be safe. So we didn't grow up. I think that we need to get that fight out the way. I think that's a woman not going to understand that, Miss Lockhart.
well,
Men do.
my father is the person that I emulate, right? My dad, who, like I said, we just had his service yesterday. I emulate my father, and my father was in an environment where he had, as an engineer, he had hundreds of engineers under him, working on things like the space shuttle, working on things like the B-2 bomber, working on large, gigantic projects where they did not want to take any instruction from a man of his shade, right? But what he taught me was, you have to understand that this is going to be the goal. Not everybody going to like you. What you got to learn and what your responsibility is, how to function in the system that you are in. Now, you can do one of two things. You can learn how to self-destruct and how to destroy your lineage and how to be angry and how to do all of that. But there is a time and a place for that, right? There's a time and a place to be angry. There's a time and a place to be happy. There's a time and a place to live and a time and a place to die. All of those things have a time and a place. My point is that you got to learn how to act appropriately in due season. In due season. That's the only thing I'm saying. If it's a time for war, let's go. If it's a time for peace, let's rock that. Whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing, the last thing you want to do is to go to a prom dressed in a bikini. You want to be appropriate for whatever the season is. You going to a wedding, somebody's wedding, and you rocking a thong and some pasties, you're inappropriately dressed for the season. It don't mean you can't dress like that. It just means this wedding is not meant for you to come in here dressed like that. You don't want to walk around like you don't have no sense. We're not madmen and women. We're not meant. As a matter of fact, our people have been creators of a lot of things, and it took them some thought to do it. Imagine driving down the street without a red light now. Imagine having shoes on that's just made of, not even made the way they are now. Imagine every creation that we've ever made or ever contributed to mankind, but you got to have a level head to create. And I'm sorry that there have been a lot of people out there whose mothers were not good for them. And I told you guys the other week that if it was not for my stepfather, none of us would have been okay, because my dad raised us. But he raised us in such a way that we can rock in any environment that we're in. It didn't matter that he was the only guy that looked like him, that was the head of huge departments at Rockwell International and at Hughes Aircraft and at all of these different places. This cat was off the chain. My only point to you is he taught us how to play the game. You cannot walk around saying things that you think in the quiet times. You say what you want to say in your house. You say what you want to say. They do it. And when you're talking about the KKK like you did earlier, my only point to even saying this to that is that they still around. They don't walk around in those hats and hoods no more. Okay? They're not walking around like that no more. Hold on, let me finish. Now they are the district attorney. Now they are the police officer. Now they are the judge. Now they are the members of the jury. Now they are the constituency to the politicians that put them there. So if you don't understand that, keep swinging.
No, all I was saying is, and guess who they are marrying? Those old-fashioned Ku Klux Klans. You right, they never left. They become the district attorneys, the police officers, the bosses of companies, educators. Now they are marrying black women like Sugar Bum, Robin M., Cynthia G. So they marrying black women. So And
hold
once
on now. Hold on now.
valley girl,
We're
so
not going
once
to
they
do that.
marry
Let's
the
not.
black woman,
The
the
reason
black
why I
woman
don't want
gonna
us to use
automatically.
people's
I,
names
okay,
is
yeah, I ain't gonna
because
use their names,
yeah, don't
but
do that
when
because you know what? We know Sugar Bum and we know Robin M. We know those
they
individuals.
love white men,
But hold on now, because they don't believe the way that you believe don't mean that they love white men. Because I don't agree with everything you say. Don't mean that I love white men. I love all people because that's just the way I am, right?
no,
I just
no,
choose to love everybody,
they
right?
talk about
That's
having
just me.
babies and men and getting marriages with white men. They say it
Okay,
all the time.
but their purpose for that is based on their experiences. And this is my point. People have their belief systems based on the experiences that they have had. And if that's their experience, then who am I to deny them the right to live out their life?
Right,
That's
you right.
them.
The only thing I'm saying is that means black men should no longer listen to the black woman, right? Because she
But
only
when
gonna think
who
about the best
cares?
interest of it.
I'm so
But,
tired of that. I'm
no,
so tired of that
what I'm
conversation.
saying is, Miss
I'm
Lockhart, that
tired of
black
that
men.
conversation.
No, I'm not talking about the gender stuff. What I'm saying is black men should no longer listen to the black woman because the black woman got the best interest for the white race.
Okay,
She
well,
don't
let's
have
get
the
off that
best
topic.
interest.
It's exhausting. You know why it's exhausting?
It's not that topic. It's leading to what we're talking about. We up here taking that. I don't want black men to be taking advice from black women that got the best interest for the white race, but then go tell us to shoot up each other, go tell us to rob and hit each other as black men. We no longer need to. We need to as black men. We need to do this for ourselves. We don't need to listen to somebody that we think got our best interest because they don't. And I'm tired of us black men gotta act like pretend like people ain't lying to us or they got their best interest because they look like us. No, they don't.
Nobody is saying that though. And I don't think anybody is taking that from this situation. And I think that it's our responsibility whenever we hear people that are starting to go in that direction to understand this right here. That's what it's important to understand. You have got to know that whether it is the Al Sharptons of the world, whether it is the Jesse Jacksons of the world, whether it's the Charleston, all of these people are agents. And all of these people are put into our communities to divide. But you got to understand, they're not necessarily dividing us from the white people. They're dividing us from each other. There is a divide within ourselves, and it don't have nothing to do with women. If a black man doesn't want to listen to a black woman, then perhaps he needs to seek out black men who got good sense and then take the advice from them. Black men who started their own businesses and companies and who have learned this stuff that I'm talking ain't white stuff. This is just good damn common sense. That if you want to have a mentor, then that mentor needs to have some type of fruit that shows you who he is, that shows you that he's been successful. Get yourself people and surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. You don't got to listen to no women. That's a problem right now. Why are black men feeling as if they have to listen to the black woman? You got to
That's
listen
because
to
that's all
people
we was
who
listening
match.
to
Well,
since
then
we was
that's
born.
your parents' problem. That's your parents' issue. That's my
And you're
parents'
right, and
issue.
that's what I'm saying. So
That's my parents' issue.
when I'm talking, and right, that's when I'm talking about the conversation, and I got a different perspective from the way you do. It's not a dig at you. It's more like, okay, black men. A lot of black men understand me, and they agree with me,
No, I understand what you're
and
saying, and
they
I'm not
feel
taking
it.
offense of it. And on this podcast, this is the reason why we're paired up. That's why you and I are paired up because we are different but end up at the same place sometimes. That's the reason for everybody who's watching. JP and I are very close. And the thing about it is we do have these type of conversations offline. That was the purpose of making this podcast the way that it is so that we can talk about those differing topics and still be able to spar with one another and still love each other when we get off the podcast because that's just who we are. My only thing is I hear what he's saying about the black woman being this and that, but the problem is what that does for me, JP, is that makes me think that black men are just drones and that they don't have any leadership of their own because they can't think for themselves. When I hear that, that makes me think, okay, well then who are these weak-minded men that
We
don't know
wasn't
how to think
taught,
for
and that's
themselves?
the problem. We wasn't taught to think for ourselves. We was always taught to let the white man think for us. We wasn't taught. Well, ever since we got solely for with mom and them, we wasn't taught to think for as black men authentically thought. We was taught to conform from the white man's way via through our mammies. And that's what I'm trying to debunk and take away all that stuff that the black women have told us and told us what we should how we should be living. And we trying to debunk that because they didn't do nothing for me. I burnt up my Bible. I burnt up a lot of the education systems out my mind. I don't want nothing that was passed down from the white man through my mama. Because they didn't do nothing for me but put me in bondage and put me so submissive like a woman.
Okay, well,
No,
I
I
can
don't
appreciate
want.
that.
I got
I
rid
can
of all
appreciate
those
that.
thoughts.
I can appreciate that, and I think that that makes good sense why you would feel the way that you do. And at the same time, I do also understand that I'm always going to take us back to the beginning. Okay, and that is this is a psyop that we see on the screen because it's doing exactly what they wanted to do. And the danger for us is it's causing a divide within our own culture that has not answered the question, what are we doing to change the narrative of the people who look like us here? I cannot, and whenever we
We're not
utilize,
doing nothing, Ms. Lockhart,
and
because we're not
that's my
really
point.
addressing the issue. The issue is not we have done everything outside of address the main issue in its correct fashion. The issue is that white folks feel like they could bully on us because we have allowed them to bully on us for so long. And since we the only race never, if you paid attention, when you think about the Mexicans, the Mexicans, they fought back, they get some sort of respect. Native Americans, they fought back, they get some sort of respect. The
Who are
Middle
the
East,
Native Americans? Who are the Native Americans?
I would say blacks, but I'm going off the story that they told.
Stop. Because when you promulgate a story, you are doing exactly what I'm talking about. When
But
you
I
know,
didn't want
when you know who the Americans are,
it
and
was
then you
us, but I'm
flip
just
it.
going off. No, what I'm saying is like when we talk about the Middle Easterns, they did their thing, they get some respect. But when black folks, we try to do this peaceful Jesus bull crap, and we still don't get respect. We still in the same spot. Yeah, they're not whipping our backs no more, but they whipping us mentally, they whipping us financially, they whipping us with our children. They doing everything. Nothing changed. Why? Because we didn't throw them punches. We didn't do nothing but beg.
That's not
Well,
true.
that's
We
all
have
we
we
did.
have a lot of
In
we
order
have
to
a
get that
lot of
bully
accounts.
respect you punch him in the nose right back.
We have a lot of
Unless he
accounts.
beat you up
We have a lot
afterward.
of accounts where the Seminoles and where the Cherokee and where a lot of Indian nations or nations that are American nations to this land, the Niji people did stand up and fight. What you've
Yeah,
got
the
to
Gullah Geechees, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The Gullah Geechees.
Okay, and there are several other accounts. A lot of those accounts you're not always going to know about it because the person who won the
They don't
war
tell that story
because
though.
because the person who won the war is the person who gets to change the narrative in history. And
Yeah, and tell the story.
what I'm trying to say is that unless we understand exactly who we are and stop biting our tongue and saying, well, no, I know who I am, but that's what they think. Who cares? You're putting them in a place of power. Everything that we do when it's opposite of helping our people, our children and our grandchildren, every lie that you listen, and I want to say this now, okay? I would have a lot of nerve not liking white folk because I just told you my great granddaddy and a whole lot of family members are Irish. Okay? So I would have a whole lot of nerve disliking any of those folks. right? Even though I know my mama's a Cherokee and her mama was Creek and my mama's daddy is Cherokee, and even though I know my father's, my great grandmother, the one that cat came through Ellis Island to marry in order to take her land so that the government of the United States will be able to take him out of being an indentured servant after he learned how to take care of the land that my great grandmama owned before he ever got off that boat. And even though I know that she was a Choctaw woman, I know who I am. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I don't know who I am. Well, they call me an African American. When I say what they call me, then I'm giving they the power. You ain't got no power to dictate who I am. But by the same token, I know that I love a lot of people, and I know that I care about a lot of people because I'm not an animal. I care about a lot of different people. I'm going to tell you something, and this is just where I stand, and I don't care what anybody says. I'll be 61 in September, so you can just get in line with a whole lot of other folk, not you, but you, okay, that may not like who I am. I got white friends, and I got black friends, and I got white cousins, and I got black cousins, and I got people that I used to work with that I'm just enamored of, both white and both black. If you come to me and you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect. If you step to me and you step wrong, you're going to see the lighter side of me. You're going to see another side, the softer side of Sears or the rougher side. Either way it go, I deal with you according to how you deal with me. If you come to me crazy, you're going to get dealt with crazy. And I don't care what color you are. As a matter of fact, I've been treated poorly by black checkout ladies than I have been by white checkout women. I'll go to get my groceries and I'll go check out at the grocery store. This woman at the checkout line been talking to the white man in front of me nicely all while they've been having they've been having light banner and everything. When the man leaves, she says, okay, bye-bye. And then she starts ringing up my stuff with not even so much as a hello. And through this whole $500 transaction of me giving to her employer my grocery money, she ain't said one word. But
well, that's what I've been saying. Now you talking my point.
But that's
my point. More nicer to the white man. They preserve their white man.
But my point is, we don't treat each other with respect, regardless of gender.
A black man would have said hello to you.
No, it's been done like that with them too. What I'm saying is, we need to know who we are, and we got to do our own self checkup. Fix yourself. Fix yourself. And then you can run around here and help your kids. You can't help your kids if you run around in rage, not knowing who the enemy is, swinging at everybody. Because I'm going to tell you something. There could be a white woman that's working in a system that you need to go in there and they end up helping you more than somebody else helped you. And it'd be the universe ad nauseum that set that person in your face just for you to realize that they are not the enemy, that your enemy is your enemy. And you need to understand that your enemy could be your brother, your enemy could be somebody white. Your enemy could be somebody black. You got to understand that we can't walk around just swinging indiscriminately. You need to understand with all specificity who your enemy is. And if you don't, you will lose. No matter who you rock in the fight, you will lose. I guarantee it.
Yeah, because we do got a lot of black men who are considered to be butlers. Right. I make a very distinction between black butlers and niggas. Right. So I think it's a difference. And I think that the butlers has been in a way of how they taught white men how to treat us. Because I got this firm belief that you teach people how to treat you. And I think the white man been getting away with the butlers and treating them like a butler. And then they bump, and then one day the white man, like this white boy, that white boy might got a real active black butler, Jeffrey, in this house right now. So he thought which gave him the mindset of how he could treat black folks. So, but he thought all black folks were just like Jeffrey, that black butler, until he bumped across a nigga with dreadlocks. Well, niggas is different from butlers. Right, niggas gonna hit your butt right back, gonna stab you like he just did. Touch me and find out. We ain't the butlers, right? And so For a long, that's what the butlers have taught the white
Everybody's
man.
a butler to somebody, baby. When you go to
But
your job, you're gonna be a butler to your job. Then why? Because you there to serve.
It's
You
like
there to
the
serve.
butler told these white men, and with their actions, that it's okay for them to treat them any less of a man. And so when they come across a nigga, they expected that niggas gonna allow them to say that, and that's not gonna happen. It just been two shootings in Milwaukee where black men were shooting at cops. This was just the other day.
Was it on the news?
I just watched it. That was one of the videos that I was going to save for this show.
Tell you something. What idiot do you know that looks like you that would ever shoot at the cops without wanting somebody to wipe him off the map right quick? That's my freaking point right there. This is the season where they are flipping the script that was created over the last 4 years. There was a script that they were walking out over the last 4 years. They was walking it out. They was walking it out. All the last 4 years they was walking, and now they're going to flip that script. Why? Because what's happening after this, my friend, is civil war. If you look at history of this little bitty young country of this, no, baby, I'm trying to tell you something. You better listen. You better take heed to what I'm trying to teach you right now. Okay? What they are trying to do is create enough panic to have civil war. And I don't think you understand that it ain't just going to be the kind of civil war that you read about in the books, that you had to take a little questionnaire about and get a grade on in school. It's not going to be like that, my friend. It's not going to be like that at all.
I'm no longer scared no more.
That is the goal. That is the goal.
I've been scared, y'all, Miss Lockhart. Y'all been scaring us for so long.
I'm not trying to scare you, baby. I'm telling you the truth.
I think us black folks we so numb to fear, right?
Okay,
Every 10 years they come out with a new fear that we got to be scared of.
Let me tell you what civil war equals in this particular time. Civil war in this time is going to end up being raging against the machine, my friend. Civil war in this situation is not going to be the kind of civil war that it was back then with boots on the ground. They are going to do all kinds of stuff that you ain't going to be able to swing at. There'll be paperwork that's going to be flying. There's going to be indictments that's going to be rolling, and not just necessarily indictments of you. I'm talking about indictments of your character. There's going to be so much physical stuff going on. There's going to be blackouts in areas that everybody going to have a problem with. Do you realize what I'm trying to say? You are now coming into the transhumanism age. There's going to be a lot of humans that's going to be wiped out. And just like the article that I read today, a woman had AI adjusted IVF, where the AI assisted with robot means to go into a human being. Civil war, baby. We got to think. The stuff that's happening right now that's underneath all of this that you're looking at is not going to be pretty. And it ain't going to be the type of civil war that we remember. This will be a civil war on a different and unprecedented level. Disproportionate levels. This right
so
here.
So what we going to do to fight against it? I want to hear
about fighting. I'm not talking about having fear. Okay, I'm not talking about having fear.
What are we going to do to fight against it? I don't want to
educate yourself to know what you're dealing with.
I mean, attacking it. I'm tired of living in fear and just tired of just
have to have fear.
We got to work around it and be submissive to it. No, let us address that civil war. Screw it. Let's get inside the war.
It's in your mind, my friend. It is in your mind. The soul is what they've been telling you they was trying to get. Don't you remember that? We're fighting for the soul of America. They said that for 2 years, and not every idiot that heard them say that let it go right over their head and didn't understand that you're dealing with people who are like warlocks almost, and that everything that they do is a verbal war.
You know what we need to be doing to fight that? All the black folks with money and stuff need to be going in different countries. Africa got all of these lands that we can buy.
Why would you want to go to a country that's not going to sell you their land? They're not going to sell you their land.
To fight that war, that civil war that's in the mind, it's not be there to fight, not be there to fight it.
You're not
So we
going
can
on another continent.
fight about our absence
You're not
in
going
a
to.
whole new land.
You ain't going to another land and buying land in another continent. You can't even buy land here. What do you think you got to do to go in another continent, another country, and buy land? You better look up the laws in which you're talking. There's a lot of black folks right now that went over into Uganda and went into a whole lot of other places. When you go there, you're going to be under their system. And what did they do to the majority of those black folk that just went over there that's very subtly talked about? They took all the bank accounts. If you got a bank account over there, they're going to snatch your money. You ain't no American citizen no more. You over here. And while you over here, you're going to do what we do. You're not going to Uganda. You're not going
If we
to
come in there
Zimbabwe.
in droves and numbers, we could damn near take
not
it over.
going anywhere. You're
But
not
if we go in there in droves, a lot of us, we could damn near take over Uganda.
You're never going to take over Uganda, sweetheart. The Ugandans can't even take over Uganda. Do you understand? Do you not get it? You got to deal with where you are. If you can't govern your own household here, you damn sure ain't going to Uganda. You're not going to Nigeria. You're not even gonna go to the lowest of the low and do anything over there. Then you're not gonna buy none of their land. You got people right now running around talking about they buying land over there. You ain't buying nothing. You don't have no. Listen, the majority of the land that's over there. This is not fear. I'm so tired of people saying that when you're giving them the truth that is fear, it could just make me barf as I sit here. Listen, this is the truth. You are not going to take your Americanized behind over to another country and purchase nothing. First off, you got to beat the Chinese and the Belt and Road Initiative too.
We got to go to war there.
You ain't buying nothing that the Belt and Road Initiative.
We need to be active, Ms. Lockhart. I think we passed trying to be passive aggressive. I think that's what been taught to us for so long, being passive aggressive. I think that now we got to get more. We got to skip. We're gonna try to assert being assertive, but now we just got to get aggressive. I don't think that being afraid
of another country. You think going to another country is going to be? You think we can buy?
I'm not let them do us any kind of way, Ms. Lockhart.
Can we buy land in Africa on the continent?
If we can't buy, we're gonna have to fight over it. Take it over.
So who we gonna fight? Who we gonna fight?
We got to fight the Asians if we have to.
No, okay. So you think so? We're just like the other colonizers, right? We're just
we have to become a colonizer.
So we're going to be a colonizer. We're going to just go in and take over somebody else's land as if they're not there. Do you really honestly think that a weak-minded American citizen is going to go to another country specifically?
We come from a country that did it the best, so we should know better.
Specifically of another country like Zimbabwe, and we're gonna go over to Nigeria and we're gonna take over. Those people will tear us up.
Colonize the world, Ms. Lockhart.
And these people get up in the morning and walk. Let me finish my statement though, JP. Those people get up and walk to the water hole to get water and carry it back on their heads every morning. Those people get up and have to go dig a ditch in some areas just to use the bathroom. Those people get up and go get their food. They go fight those elk. They go fight those animals. They go get their food. Those people take chickens and crap by the neck and wring it and then cook it in a pot. How you think a weak person who has been weakened time and time again over here is going to go over there and do anything besides get our asses kicked? We ain't going over there doing nothing with them.
We're going to do the same thing the white man did to them.
Man, let me tell you something.
Back home.
If you think
we coming back home and we're going to take the piece that we own from grandma and granddaddy. That's if Africa is our ancestor land.
That's not that's not mine. I'm not African American. I'm not African American. This is my land.
A couple pieces of the the stuff that our grandparents, ancestors left us. We're nothing. Just no. We're gonna have to come and colonize it. We got to get grimy.
Don't you gotta have power?
Grimy. Or either you gonna be grimy or you gonna sink.
That's true. So tell me, I'm not African.
Every grimy person I know is the ones alive. The ones that were so lovable and righteous. They are the ones that's dead.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you this quick question, and just let's just stay calm, okay? I'm going to ask you a question. When colonizers go into other lands, how do they subdue the land?
What does subdue mean?
How do they take over the land?
I don't know, by any means necessary.
And what are some of those means?
They take over the land, like far as like before they get to start growing. Some people they get to start buying up the land.
And how do they buy
Then
the land?
they get acquainted with the government.
And how do
They
they
come
get?
as your friend. They come as your friend first. They sneak their way in. They infiltrate their way in.
And so
They
you think,
start giving money. They start giving
but how
support.
much money? How
They
much
build
money do you think it would
trust.
take? How much money do you think it would take for one individual with this excellent idea, by the way, that you have? How do you think that wonderful individual would be able to go to another country and just subdue their land and just take their
I see
land?
one individual. I think that's the problem that we've been having because we always talk about one. The amount of billions and trillions of dollars that black women spend on hair.
No, I'm not talking about the black woman.
The amount of the cars and diamonds that black men spend. I'm almost guaranteed. Even the knowledge that we've learned how to build, go and build, do plumbing and construction. We could take that knowledge, even in military. We got so many black military veterans that learned all types of skills. Yes, when we go there, we're gonna add way more value. We're gonna
How?
add way up to date stuff.
How?
What you mean? What you mean with all the Africans, the natural growing land?
But you don't think that the people that are in Africa know how to get water out of their ground?
Either they gonna roll with us or they just gonna roll. We're gonna use them. They gonna
Yeah.
become our slaves
How are they going to become our slaves? What do we have?
because we got the resources. We
What do we
gonna
have?
be able to provide all of the resources.
And where are the resources coming from?
We're gonna take it from America. Our skills for war.
And how are we going to leave America with resources and take it to the quote unquote motherland?
Because the resources come from that we're gonna bring from America. It's just going back to his original place was Africa.
What resources?
One, the skills. That's the main.
What skills?
I want to just utilize their money
Let me
and
ask,
transform it to our own money. But I'm just going to utilize their money to buy
let's
buy stuff.
personalize it. Let's personalize it on today's podcast. Let's personalize it. Okay. What skill do you have that you can leave the United States with and then go into said country and abscond with their land?
Well, okay, I got skills in construction. I know how to build. I know how to put together houses.
When's the last time you built a house?
Do a lot of housework.
When's
I
the last
got
time you built a house?
that is electricians.
Right. That's wonderful. When is the last time you built a house?
Well, skills don't ever leave.
No. When's the last time you built a house?
I didn't build a house.
So you're just going to go over there and take your chances at some of the, well, let me ask you this. When is the last time you actually used your skills to assist in building a house?
About a good 10 years ago.
So 10 years ago, you were using the antiquated knowledge of helping to assist to build a house. And you're going to take that knowledge into a country where people have been building houses with mud. You're going to go to a continent where dudes have been building houses with mud and straw, and those houses are still standing today. You're going to take those antiquated thought processes, and you really think they're going to welcome you? You're going to go into countries where some people speak more than one language.
Every place that got taken over wasn't welcome, right? America, when the white folks took over Africa, when the white folks took over America, they wasn't welcome. So yeah, if we go in there, one person can't go take over nothing. So if we all with this war that you're talking about, if we move as a unit, I'm quite sure.
How many is going to be in the we? Because see, I know that when I get a dozen of eggs, that's 12, and then if I get a baker's dozen of anything, that's 13. So how many?
14 million of black men, I would say at least 7 million
black men. And so you're saying that you're going to mobilize 14 million black men from
7 million black men.
14
we need 7 million black men to take that over.
So 7 million black men are going to mobilize to get together to go into the continent of Africa to take over Africa when those 7 million men in America could not mobilize to take over here. But wait, there's more. There's more. Those exact same men are going to go into the continent of Africa, to different countries in Africa, and they're going to be dealing with the same colonizers who colonized America and who actually colonized all different areas to include the bush in Australia. We're going to hold on, I'm not finished because I'm trying to piece this together. So what you're saying is, those 7 million men who could not mobilize to teach third graders how to read in their own community. Hold on. Those 7 million men who could not mobilize their own school systems within America. Those same 7 million men who could not get together and take a plot of land.
Because it was raised by a woman. That was raised by a woman, though.
But those are the same 7 million men who were raised by women who are going to go into the continent of
Africa. And that's what we trying to. So the answer is not to do nothing. And this is why I'm keep trying to get away from listening to women. You keep trying to put us in a box of fearness and just let these people do anything. No, we ain't doing that no more.
There is no
that's not the answer no more. The answer no more is not to be sitting up here waiting on these white folks to do us dirty. No, we're going to do something about it.
Okay,
and this is why we should have never been in the care of no goddamn woman.
Okay, but
they always try to make us submit and be in fear.
What I'm saying is, if you can't fix home, how are you gonna go somewhere else, JP?
But this is not our home. We gotta do something.
This is my home.
Either we're gonna have we're gonna get active here, there, somewhere. Something gotta happen. It's not, the answer shouldn't always continue to be just to sit up there and wait for somebody else to do something crazy to us. Ain't nobody trying to be on that no more.
Who is the we you speak of? Listen, they had a million-man march.
A whole bunch of people that in the next year
they do
all kinds of stuff with robots.
The last time,
every 10 years, y'all give us a new fear to be afraid of. When every time I talk to the older people, they always tell me 2000, we was all hiding in basements with buying a bunch of water and canned goods. 2010, the world was supposed to end. 2020, we buying tissue. Now you talking about the next 5 more years.
We did that to you, or did the media do that to you?
Scared.
Did the media do that to you, or did we do that to you? Did I tell you to go buy toilet paper? Did I go tell you to buy toilet paper? Did I go tell you?
You're telling me about these robots, and then somebody 10 years
you don't know
before
that we are. You don't know. You don't know about robots.
No,
you don't know about Boston Dynamics.
Ms. Lockhart, you ain't understand what I'm saying. Ever since I've been alive, it was always every 5 to 10 years, it's a new fear that's finna we worry about what these white folks gonna do to us.
Oh no, it's not about the white folks.
No matter where we go, I think it's come to a time where that means they keep pulling the black man's car. Black man's they pulling your car, and you got to address it. You can't listen to mama no more.
Okay, unfortunately, so not listening to mama. Everybody, here we go. I agree with you, JP. JP, I agree. We don't need to be submissive to mama no more. What we need to do is start.
No, we don't need to be submissive to the white man no more.
We need to don't listen to the white man. Don't listen to mama. Black men, let's mobilize, and everybody. I'm just gonna be quiet and follow you, JP. I'm gonna mobilize, and we're all just gonna look just like the Beverly Hillbillies and pack up our little wagon, and we're gonna go into Africa. Yeah. Get our asses kicked collectively because we're trying to take over some people's stuff that know how to do more than we do. But we're going to all follow your plan because, hey, we've tried before in the past and it didn't work. I mean,
what we doing right now, Ms. Lockhart, ain't doing nothing.
You got France. You've got all these other places that went into places with guns and with knives and with pow-pows and all this other stuff. And they've subdued these places. But we're going to go with a wing and a prayer. 7 million black men that couldn't do anything in their own place that they were born and raised in are going to get together, and they're going to go on the continent of Africa, and they are going to make a difference, and they are going to take that land, even though we already know that the preponderance of the land out there is up under, a majority of it is up under the Belt and Road Initiative that China has already signed agreements with them. So we are going to take 7 million black men.
They're over here. We got to get active. That's the bottom line, Ms. Lockhart. The bottom line of the matter is, We can't. It's the way we've been doing it, and the way y'all been coaching us doing it is have not been doing nothing for us. Period. So we got to come up with a different way, even if we get our asses kicked.
No, you can go get yours kicked. I'm telling you now that it's not going to happen, and I'm with you.
What I'm saying is we're gonna have to take that risk. We can't constantly be punks.
Well, you don't have to be punks.
Black people, we are the punks. We are getting treated like a punk because we keep listening to that stupid fear shit.
Okay, but what is the fear about me telling people that we're not going to be able to change anything going into somebody else's land if we have not made any strides and changes here? You can't go someplace else thinking that the grass is going to be greener, JP. That's not reality.
You're not talking about being active over here.
Everybody make sure that you're hitting the like button. And I want to thank everybody for being here to the Lockout Radio podcast, where JP and I are having a good conversation. But here's the thing. We have got to understand something, that we need to fix our own households first. If we can fix our own household,
I don't think that's the answer.
There's no fear about what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you got to understand the game. You got to understand the rules of engagement.
And you also got to take risks.
And you know what? Taking risk is a good thing. And that's the reason why, you have your businesses that you've got, because you're taking a risk. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that believe in risk. What I'm saying is we have to deal with the lakes and streams that we're used to and the things that we are responsible for. And what we are most all responsible for is our household, our bills, our children, our lives. If we can become masters of that and do it effectively, then we know that we can do. That's really all that matters.
No, it don't, Ms. Lockhart. This is the difference between a man and a woman. So we understand where you come from. You don't want to see the violence and take that risk.
No, I didn't say that. Please stop saying that, because nothing is made of violence.
What I'm saying is. It's to this point where a black man now you got to step up and fight. You've been comfortable under mama's blanket for too long. You've been safe.
Let me take a poll. Let me take a poll. Of all the men that are in this chat, I want you guys to put a 1 in the chat if you've got fear. We'll hold. Let me play a little background music, because I've got to get out of here, you guys. But let's go on ahead and let's play a little background music. All right, and then I want you guys to let me know, whoever has some type of fear. If you got fear, I want you to let me know. Put a 1 in the chat for those of you who are in fear. Come on. Everybody who's in fear, put a 1 in the chat. I see 1. Okay, that's Wolfpack. Okay. Dave ER says fear of what? Relentless Credit Repair says 1. You ain't got no fear, Relentless Credit Repair. You trying to help people get their credit fixed. So you bold with it. Okay. Mammy Tails puts 0. Well, collectively, they are sorry punks, says Pink. Okay. I don't see these people. I mean, wait a minute. The people, this is really troubling, JP. This is troubling. Wait a minute. I'm getting this. It's coming in loud and clear. Are you ready? Are you ready, JP? Are you ready, JP? Are you still with us, JP? So now we only have you and 2 other people that are part of that 7 million that are all going into Africa to take over the Horn. There are going to be people going into the Horn of Africa with JP. And what I want everybody to do is make sure that you go to his Instagram, go to his page. And I want all you guys to sign up. JP, you got 2 people in the chat that are afraid and that want to go with you.
Most people is not going to admit to that. They don't know. Most people is not going to admit to that. But no, because they are living in fear.
Wolfpack says that he has fear, and so does Relentless Credit Repair. They've got fear. All I'm trying to do is help you mobilize the army to go into the Horn of Africa, because y'all getting your asses whooped when you get there. I just want to let you know that. And that ain't fear. I promise that if anybody from over here thinks that they're going to take their EBT mindsets, and somebody just put the EBT
But what if
Somebody
we
just
go
put
there
that.
and win?
The EBT mindset is gonna go
What
over.
if we go over there and win?
You ain't gonna win nothing but a ticket back over here. That's it.
And that's why we shouldn't listen to women
No, don't listen to me.
when it comes to war.
Do not listen to me. I want you to go. Don't listen to a word I'm saying.
Because the way, so
listen
okay,
to a
if we
word
listen to you,
I'm
what
saying.
should we be doing?
Don't listen to me. I need you and your
No,
7 million
Ms.
brothers.
Lockhart, what should we
I
do
need
if
you and
fight
your
is not the
7
answer?
million.
What should we do?
Get your Eat Better Tomorrow cards. Everybody mobilize with your Eat Better Tomorrow cards. Get a bunch of staples. You're going to need some peanuts. You're going to need some dried beans. Don't forget the dried rice. Now, some of these things may not be able to go through customs, but I want you to make sure that you get your Eat Better Tomorrow cards, mobilize those. Then I want you to also make sure that you go out and get a lot of different other things. You're going to need, I don't know, some ivermectin because, you know, they've got a lot of malaria over there. So you're going to need some of that. You're also going to need to make sure that you get, you're going to have to make sure that you get yourself some water. Make sure that you're taking enough water. Okay, make sure that you're doing all of that. Let's see. But also, they've got rolling blackouts over there, so you're going to need some candles. Get lots of candles and take the candles with you, right? Because we want to support everybody that wants to go to Africa. We want to support you. We want to give you everything that you're going to need, okay? Everything. Now, remember, somebody's talking about the malaria statement. Malaria, they don't want his blood. Okay, so here's the thing. When you consider malaria, you know that there is a sickled cell in your body. And that sickled cell, especially for people from over there in that continent, that sickled cell is created to prevent them from getting malaria. But you don't have that opportunity. So you're going to need a lot of ivermectin. Take some ivermectin with you, especially those of you who were born over here, okay? Born on this land. If you born in Mississippi or your people's born in Mississippi, if they was born in Alabama, North or South Carolina, if they was born in any part of the South, to include Florida, to include Louisiana, all of those areas, all the way up through the center of what used to be the Louisiana Purchase, because that was a huge purchase, but they only show you a small piece. All the way through Chicago. If you was born in Chicago, if you were born in Illinois of any part, if you were born in Michigan, all of them Indians, all of them folks that's up and through yon, all of them, you're going to need a safety kit. Because if you don't have a safety kit going into a foreign country and a foreign continent, you're going to be in trouble, but that's okay. We're here for you. I want everybody that's going to be going with JP to make sure that you go over to his Instagram page. I want you to let him know that you support going not back, but to Africa, because that's the place to be. You're going to be able to go over. You're going to take over everything. Everything that they have, you're going to be able to do it. Why? Because they're just a bunch of dodos anyway. They don't have any sense. They weren't there long before any of us was. Even though that's the place that they say civilization and mankind came from, those people don't have the half of it. They don't have any wherewithal. They're going to be waiting and sitting ducks for those strong, strapping, intellectual, over testosterone pumped men coming from America to go into Africa and to revamp it. Forget the fact that the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative has been there for the past several years, purchasing everything from port to port. Forget about it. You're going to be able to take care of everything. Just go, 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 go. All right, everybody. And we're going to start with this. We're going to, who else do you want to come with you, Jay Prince? You've got the two people that said that they were in fear and they were tired. Well, who else is going?
Well, when it's gonna come to a point, either you're gonna fight or you're gonna die.
Okay, so what's the fight about? So if FBA says, I'm from Compton, California, we want America. And FBA, I was raised in Carson, baby, and I want to be there too. I am an American, and I know who I am, and I know that this land was stolen from my people. So here's the deal. You gonna give me back what you're supposed to give me. Because guess what? You don't give 40 acres and a mule to somebody you say that you owned. If you got a receipt for somebody, you're definitely not gonna give them 40 acres and a mule, but you will, under a treaty, promise to get back what you took and then renege on it the same way they reneged on every other treaty they had with all of
I just think that we got to participate in the war. It don't matter if it's in
I
America.
won't be fighting alongside of any war. I will be in a bunker in my home.
And that's what I've been saying the whole time.
I'm gonna be scared in a bunker in my house. I'm gonna be scared with all the toilet paper that Kimberly Clark can make. I'm gonna have so much fear. I'm gonna be stuck in my home with all the old canned goods that look like they may have toe man poisoning. It's gonna be me and mine and nobody else. I'm gonna have all of the ammunition that I need. I'm gonna have my long gun.
And that's why I'm saying that
I'm gonna be there.
And that's why I've been saying that this is why us black men is in the position that we are in, because everybody keep trying to tell us to submit and be passive aggressive and to comply and just work around the oppression. Nobody is telling us, dude. Now
what is this fight you speak of?
Here go some fight skills.
Well, what is the
and
fight
you might have to die.
But what is the fight? You listen. I don't know whether you're a time traveler or if you came from another reality or whatever. But you remind me of somebody. But you're talking like this.
No, you
remind me of somebody
who
was hiding in the rice patches of Vietnam, and they don't know the war is over. But now the war is over, and now somebody done come across them, and they fight like, listen, man, what is the war? But why can't we just say, I need to govern my own house? How come it's a bad thing to say, let me govern my own house? We need to govern our
own land, Ms. Lockhart.
Huh?
That's the only way I see that black man gonna be liberated for his race is to govern his own land. If we can't do that, we don't need to be on nobody's land.
College football said I'm another PhD diva. She didn't fare well, sweetie. She didn't fare well. But with that in mind, I am me, always been me, always gonna be me. And I'm happy that everybody is here. We're gonna conclude this because see, we're on two different channels, and I know a lot of people don't know that. We are on the Lockhart Perspective, on the Lockhart Perspective podcast, and we are simulcasting with the Black House. So you will see my people over here hanging out, and y'all are my people too, because I love each and every one of you. But this is a little different. I'm not manning his board, and I'm not running his board. We are in a joint effort. I would say it's like a joint venture of sorts, right, JP? And this is what we're doing. So we both have our own, but we've brought them together as one podcast for Sundays. We are different. We're very good friends. I respect him very much. He respects me very much. But the deal is we're poking fun at a situation, but his points are valid. You see what I'm saying? His points are valid. And so that's just the way that it is. But again, this is not just me visiting on his channel. No, this is the Lockhart Radio Podcast, and we are taking it to the YouTube streets today. And we're also with the Black House. The Black House has its own, and I have my own, and we're coming together, and that's just what we're doing. So we're about to leave. The podcast is 3 hours now. We're coming on 2 hours and 55 minutes. Just shy of the normal 2 hours that 5 hours that we normally do it. But we will be back next week. Lord say the same and the creek don't rise. JP, I want you to take it from here, and then we'll go ahead and end it because we got to get on the road and get out of here. We got to get where we got to go.
And shout out to the Black House, shout out to the Lockhart Perspectives for joining the stream. A lot of people said they love this conversation. I told y'all this is going to be a dope Sunday. Sunday gossip with Fefe and JP for P. Now, y'all know there's some good entertainment. This is not welfare entertainment. We need to fund this Black War, so y'all got to start sending super chats and cash apps. This is not no government assistance, so stop acting like that. We giving y'all some great content. Miss Lockhart, she is awesome. No, she is nothing like PhD Diva. We just trying to make sure y'all get some good content every Sunday afternoon, a dead day, but we try to make it a live day.
Yeah, we do.
And come over here and have a real interesting conversation. Miss Lockhart is organic, authentically her, and I'll be organic, authentically me, and we can have some real conversation with the two combined. So Make sure y'all hit that like button, get us back in the algorithm. Our numbers was pretty up today, and as we keep doing this every Sunday around the same time, it's gonna get pushed in the algorithm with the likes, the share button, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. That's really what we're hoping, folks. The whole idea to do this together was, excuse me, for us to, just like we said, merge our thought processes together. And here's one of the folks that are very, very close to us. He's a very supportive young man. Is "Are you sick of it yet?" Says, "I'm sorry, but he sounds brainwashed to me." Does he really believe that the minorities of color are the only people the elites want to oppress? That's just not true. And you're absolutely right. It is not. That is the reason why we brought up the topic that we did earlier today. Are you sick of it? The reason why we brought up the fact that, hey, I believe this is a psyop when we're dealing with this whole particular situation, the one that we decided to cover today, dealing with this Carmelo Anthony and the other Austin young man. It is a psyop, in my opinion. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I just believe that it's created to divide. And then, dividing goes all the way down to the least common denominator, right? Until you can't divide out anymore. It's dividing the white from the black, and then it's dividing some blacks from blacks, and it's dividing some whites from whites until there's nothing left to divide, because that's how the enemy works, and that's how the enemy has always worked. And again, if you guys have not read Sun Tzu, you guys need to read The Art of War. If you've not already read it, if you have, kudos to you. But if you've not read it, you need to read it, because then it would help you understand exactly what it is that you're experiencing right now. Okay? So I know I appreciate you.
We need to have, somebody said that we need to have an open panel, college football. I think that we was planning on having a Google phone number where y'all could call in, and we'd take calls like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we decided originally when we first decided to do this together. So we do have a Google phone number. Are You Sick of It knows it. Several other people here who've been in the chat know it. And so we will put it in here next week. Make sure that everything is set up where if you guys can call in. Now, if we do not get enough traction with people calling in, right? Because we'll have a screener first. But if we don't have enough traction, then it won't be feasible for us to do it. But if you guys do want to call in and chime in on the topic at hand, then please do. Please do, and that'll let us know that that's what you want, because we do want this podcast to be a totally different type of feeling. And it will have some. It'll have some heat. I don't know about you, but I like spicy food. I like food that's got some, some flavor. You know what I mean? Don't come bringing me nothing.
You want to pay your number?
Huh?
Yeah, I think we're letting this put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll give it to him right now. That is the number to the Lockhart Perspective, and it's actually the Lockhart group. So when you call that number, you'll hear the recording. You can leave any topic ideas that you guys want there. If you want to leave a topic and you want us to talk about or discuss the topic, please do so there. Remember, because that number has been around for a long time. That's the number that I just put there. It's been around for a long time. We do have measures and ways whereby we're not necessarily going to answer every call. Anything that's something that's spam like, for those who may see this in the later part, not necessarily everybody here now, we ain't dealing with no spam. But if you are interested and you want to have a conversation come up, or next week when we're live and you want to come on, you'll be able to utilize that as soon as we open up the phone line. So I want to hear what everybody's got to say. Okay, I really do. And I again, Jay Prince, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Ms. Lockhart. I appreciate you. I respect you, and I appreciate you. And you are plumb crazy. This dude say he going to Africa, and he gonna take over the land. He gonna subdue it. I will be right there with you, JP, trying to assist you by taking those kids and moving them out of the way while you have this wonderful idea. I will bring them kids back to my house.
Seriously, though, I think that I really I think my liberation, I think I won't be satisfied until I'm inside of a war that means something. Not a war with other black men, because that's so old to us, street wars and junk like that. That's not getting us nowhere. They ain't sending no statement. I think that I'm about ready, you know, to if I had to fight in a man's war, it's not going to be the military or be on the streets no more. I want to fight a war that's going to send a message like my ancestors from the my race of people were the Gullah Geechees,
Okay.
and that's on my dad's side. That's where my family comes from, the Gullah Geechees,
Okay.
and that's where my heart is at. That's where I'll be satisfied. Standing up and sending a statement and giving a new definition of where who we are and stuff like that. I don't want to get in no other fights but that.
Mhm.
That's going to add some substance to add some value to the black race, even if I get killed.
Okay.
I will be satisfied dying with that story behind my back than just dying for no reason.
Well, listen, we are going to leave right now. I appreciate each and everybody from the Lockhart perspective joining the podcast today. Remember, next week we will be here again. Lord say the same, and the creek don't rise. And we appreciate you. Nothing that was said on this channel is a definite, right? I mean, everything that's been said here is simply opinion. And so nothing is supposed to be taken as, But I will tell you this much. Anything I say, I got some data, statistics, and all kind of information to back it up. So there's that. All right, you guys. I love each and every one of you. Remember what we always say.
Tails is Robert M.
Say it again. Say it again.
Mammy Tails. Is Mammy Tails somebody on your chat?
No, that's in your chat. But I'm going to say this.
That's Robert M.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. It's all good. Everything is all good. We are all good. Everything is all good. It's all good in the hood, or it's all good in Africa. Okay. I love everybody. Okay. Oh, that's India. That's India. Just no problem. Okay. Love you guys. Remember what we always say on the Lockhart perspective, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the Most High. And I also want you guys to remember to do one thing for me, and that is to make sure that you take care of yourself, because there's nobody else around you that's going to do it. They're going to use it. They're going to pull it, all your energy. And when you need some help, ain't nobody going to be there. Ain't nobody going to be there. They're just not. So I want you guys to all make sure that you take care of yourself, and then you can turn around and help take care of somebody else. Okay. You guys continue to be blessed. Peace.
Peace out.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.